Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And Blue Dragon 5.
And welcome to the 5th season of Spielberg Month. Since Steven Spielberg doesn't do audio commentary on his own work, we thought we'd do it for him. After all he's done for us, it's the least we could do for him. Since we're getting near the end of Spielberg's vast catalog and want to keep the party going as long as we can, this month features a duo of modern Spielberg projects neither of us has seen before, as well as a tribute to one of the man's longtime collaborators. So grab some baklava on the way to Munich and mount your horse. Let's point the cameras towards the very eclectic collection in this year's Spielberg Month. Do 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 do. All right. How the heck are you, Dragon?
Okay.
I'm in a really good mood. You know why?
Why?
Because I honestly just found one of my new favorite Spielberg movies of the last 20 years, of the past decade, like couple decades. This is Dragon. Yeah, hot take. I really love this one. After all these years of like the it's it is.
The stupid running gag actually paid off.
I never gave it a chance, and here I am giving this movie a chance, sitting down and watching it. And Dragon, I'm just gonna let you know how invested I was in this movie. All right, you know the scene where the stupid freaking warhorse is running through the fields and he gets to the barbed wire, right?
Yeah.
I was so invested in this scene that I was like, "No, Joey, you gotta jump, Joey, you gotta jump." Dragon, this movie had me.
You gotta jump, Joey. Jump.
Well, I think we know what the exit tag is to this one.
Jump, Joey. Like a kangaroo.
Oh God, maybe that's why he was named Joey.
Okay, anyway, go on.
Seriously, Dragon, I love this. This is great. It's great stuff all the way around. Freaking 1917, eat your heart out in terms of World War I flicks, I gotta say. Oh man, Dragon, this has like the heart of something like Saving Private Ryan and the technical skills of something like Dunkirk. I don't know. It's well, maybe not Dunkirk.
Yeah, I would go. I mean, like Dunkirk's kind of pushing it. Let's be honest.
That's a stretch.
We're just reining it a little bit, just a little bit.
It's Saving Private Ryan with horses.
There you
go. What I love the most about this movie, Dragon, and we'll break it down in the commentary, is I love how the three acts feel so different and yet weave into each other so well. Because Act 1 is basically the classic boy and his horse story that you get really emotionally wrapped up in. Then Act 2 is kind of like this adventure where you follow the horse. And that's where the movie really kind of impressed me because, you know, you're going along and the horse is really leading the charge. And then Act 3 is kind of like the American tale, like, oh my God, they keep missing each other, and when are they gonna reunite? And I just feel like each three of these acts, Dragon, you know how I like a good framing device, and I like distinct feeling acts. Each three of these acts feels like its own short film in a way, but they all come together, and they really, it's really satisfying. And, of course, I mean, this is just saying the obvious when it comes to Spielberg, but I feel like it's more true here than it is in other films of the past 20 years that he's done. Just fantastic score and cinematography. I mean, goddamn. Just, they just split. It's just wonderful.
Good old Janusz.
Good old Janusz, good old Williams. I mean, just the Williams, Janusz, Spielberg trio is just added again, creating Spielberg magic. Dragon, this thing's got to be one of the most underrated things in his career. I have no idea how you feel about it, but as you know, I didn't really take this thing seriously until I sat down and watched it. We've been working together for almost a decade, and I've been saying this stupid thing.
Yeah,
and that's basically been the extent of my knowledge on this. And yeah, I mean, I don't think it's like, up to the same par as, like, I'm not calling this like E.T. with horses or anything like that. I'm not calling this like a Spielberg masterpiece or anything like that. But I do think it's got a lot of Spielberg magic to go around, Dragon. I really do.
Okay.
Your thoughts?
All right, my thoughts. So I was trepidatious going into this one. I wasn't in a rush to get the Warhorse out of the whole Spielberg catalog. And again, we kind of ended up.
We weren't.
We really just kind of ended up at these two this year, folks. It's just kind of like the stars aligned. We just kind of ended up doing Munich and Warhorse. I mean, it's kind of weird. It's kind of how things played out this year, as the intro kind of recapped. So anyway, I was trepidatious going into this. I have a bad history with certain horse movies. I mean, the biggest example for me being Spirit Stallion of the Cimarron. I just have very bad experience with it. It's just like a movie so forgettable. I legitimately cannot remember watching it or not because the trailer just summed up.
It's not bad at all. Wow.
No.
Wow.
It's not. It's just that it's the most. It's like a movie to me so forgettable. It's just like I can't tell if I watch the trailer.
What's bad about that movie is the Matt Damon narration. I think if it didn't have the Matt Damon narration, it'd be a wonderful movie. Honestly,
all I'm saying is I haven't. I'm not saying it's like it's the worst.
Dragon, I think what we're learning here is that I like horse movies more than you do.
Look, I'm saying with Spirit Style of the Cimarron, I'm not saying it's like the Antichrist of movies, Tiki. What I'm saying is that it's like it was a movie for me so forgettable. Where I usually don't forget a film that I can't not remember liking if I saw it in theaters or if I saw the trailer for it because it was that forgetful. That's my thing with Spirits. Like maybe if I rewatched it, it'd be better. But I'm saying that feels like a generic horse movie, but animated. That's the way it always comes off to me in terms. Anyway, the point being, I have a distrust of horse movies. So, if any film, and also attached to that, so I'm going to this movie, I want to have like the horse thing in the back of my like, oh god, Spielberg's doing a horse movie. Spielberg's done a lot of great things, but it's a horse movie. I don't know, I can reinvent the wheel on this. And then there's the old adage, which I've always disagreed with, that if any film would play into the old stereotype that Spielberg's the uberly sentimentalist kind of filmmaker, where again I feel it's like an unfair thing. They're saying they're saying sentimental in a negative way, like he's too sentimental, he's always adding a little bit of whimsy and things to everything. It's like,
whimsy.
That's what I'm saying. Everyone's like always coming down on whimsy. Like, come on, guys. I'm thinking, oh god, this might be the one time that thing might be warranted if it's doing the cliche horse movie thing. Like, oh god, I'm not dreading it, but I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't know going into this movie. So if any movie would be that, it would be the seemingly boy and his horse movies, boy and his horse story. Like, if I've ever seen a boy and his horse movie where the horse jumps in the end, that's all I knew about this thing going into it. So here's the thing. So for me, my feels the movie after giving it a fair shot. After I'm going to watch it, see how it is. For all this time dodging Warhorse, let's see how it is. Now it's on Netflix. So anyway, so this for me it takes a bit. But the film did grow on me, slowly but surely, and it really grows on you. Like it builds up a gallop, if you will, in terms of investing yourself in the story. I think Act One's a little slow going with the boy and your horse stuff, but then as it gets through that stuff, and as it kind of gets to the big payoff of that story, then onward, then it tracks really nicely. I feel overall we could have trimmed about maybe 10, 15 minutes out of the movie, but it's a nice movie. It really is. It's about a horse bringing hope to wartime. In a way, the movie is kind of sort of about the last ride for horses in the battle. This is kind of like the last grand time you're ever going to see horses riding in the battle, and kind of like a way that means something. Because after this, it's really like we've moved on to tanks and men on foot and all sorts of other horrific ways we kill each other.
Yeah. All right. So, do you have any background on this, Dragon?
Yes, I do. Okay.
Go ahead.
So let's see. So background, keep it simple. Michael Morpurgo. He in 1982 he wrote this British war novel called Warhorse. How fitting. Did a little novel called Warhorse, which basically what happened is he talked to a bunch of World War I vets way back when, and basically three of them kind of gave, oddly enough, very horse-related stories. I talked to, I believe, one of the guys part of the horse cavalry, the Devon Yamandry, if I'm saying that right. Basically, the horse cavalry guys we saw in the movie. He talked to a bunch of those guys. And, essentially, one of the guys revealed that they confided their hopes and their fears to their horses, which kind of sent up a little light bulb for the author there. And then the author saw there's a little charity it's called Farms for Children. It's kind of like, I believe, tied into the World War I kind of story that we kind of see take place in the movie here, where basically he saw a boy and a horse kind of bond, and that was like the other impetus for like, okay, boy and a horse story, and of course like the importance of hope with the horses in the war. So we kind of combine those together, got ourselves a nice little story there. So he wrote his little novel, and for years he tried. He tried to adapt it into a film, but he just couldn't quite crack it. For years, he tried this, no luck. However, you're going to get a kick out of this, I'm sure. I know in 2007, they actually make it into a play. A very successful.
I know all about the play, Dragon.
Oh.
Sorry. Have you seen the puppets that they used in the play?
I have seen them. Doing research,
they're creepy. They are creepy. Are they not?
Here's the thing. When I heard puppets, I was thinking like softer puppets, and then I saw like, oh god, they're really going like the real like the heft of the horse and the kind of mechanics.
I don't like it. It's very disconcerting.
Well, it's the only way you're gonna get a horse on stage unless you go the full Jim Henson, which I wish they went.
I hear you. It makes sense. It makes sense. I mean, I don't know. I'd rather go the Lion King route, though. That's what I'm saying. Okay.
Anyway, the point is, they did this play in 2007 with the puppet horse. And it definitely got a lot of acclaim, got a lot of attention. People really got a lot of notice for the story. People loved it, and eventually kind of made its way to Spielberg and Kathleen Kennedy, which then led its way to Spielberg. Spielberg, he sees it. 2009, the movie gets traction where Spielberg finally sees the play. He loves it. It goes into development. A big reason the movie gets made is Spielberg, he promised, I believe his youngest daughter, who was very into riding horses and everything, that he'd do a movie about horses one day. And, kind of stars aligned.
Makes sense.
I saw this horse play. Maybe his daughter talked him into seeing the horse play. I don't know. And point being, he sees the play. And, he gets the impetus like, yeah, let's do this, man. Then it gets into development. Spielberg, he got the old band back together because in all the projects that Spielberg's been doing of late in 2011, he kind of got separated. He never had like a full kind of a royal flush of the Spielberg, of the old Spielberg crew, like John Williams, Michael Kahn, Janusz Kaminski, and Rick Carr. Like those are like
sure.
Like those, that's the all-star Spielberg team. They all came back together for this one after they'd been like kind of separated. Like the point is, if you got them like most of them together, you never got all of them together for a little while. So they all came back. So we got two writers on this. We had Lee Hall, who did Rocket Man, really good. Also did Cats, but we're going to focus on Rocket Man. We have a Richard Curtis who did Love Actually, which again, very similar to the narrative of this film. Again, about a bunch of kind of vignetted stories that do kind of tie together.
I like Love Actually a lot.
I really need to see, because I've seen segments of it. I never saw the full thing, so I got one of these days.
I think it'd be a good one to do for seasonal shenanigans one day.
Maybe Tiki, if it's still available, then sure. Right. Anyway, let's see. So Spielberg, one last thing. So Spielberg, he had downtime while he was doing Tintin. He was doing Tintin at the time of this, and Tintin was being animated. So he's like, well, I got some downtime while they're kind of putting the polish on. I shot all the stuff. Now they're going to animate, and I'll give notes on that, kind of like Jurassic Park, Schindler's List style. Kind of a little bit of two films at the same time action. I'm sure. While that's happening, I'm he's going out to make the film, scouting locations, and the rest is history.
All right. Okay, so Dragon, without further ado, folks, this is going to actually be an easier one for you to get a hold of, because lo and behold, it is on Netflix. And as we discussed in our JGI grab bag tonight, Dragon, everyone has a relationship with their Netflix these days.
Yep.
You want to go ahead and give them the Lethal Weapon 1, 2, 3 go of it all?
Sure. So, folks, again, if you're leaving comments, we won't really be able to see them towards until the end of things, because you're going to be in the thick of it with the commentary. But we'll shout you out definitely by the end of things. See how they liked our little journey here. If you want to join along with our journey, you can join us on with the film itself, because basically we're going to be going in a linear fashion. If you just want to listen to it as a podcast, you're more than welcome to. Just know that we're going kind of chronologically in terms of the events of the film. Otherwise, just watch it with us. See what are they oohing and ahhing at? And you're going to see what exactly we're doing. It's on Netflix. Get to the 0 mark, all the way at the start. And once we do kind of Lethal Weapon style, we go on go. When Tiki says go, 1, 2, 3, go. That's when we get this party started. You click the button, and we're off to the races.
All right. So, folks, without further ado, let's do it. Odds in 1, 2, 3, go.
All right.
Right. So, Touchtone, Dragon, that was is this like a bridge to the VFG?
It might be. I don't know for certain, but I assumedly it might be.
I thought that was an interesting little link there.
Yeah.
All right. So one thing you got to note right off the bat, let's talk about the score for this movie because that's one of the things that I've heard good things about, but really it really captures my attention.
Sure. Yeah, it's Williams did a really good job with the score here. It really pops to me towards the very end, but I mean also it's really, again, it's like basically what we're doing with this movie a lot is like we're taking the Spielberg has this really ridiculous challenge. I got to make a movie where the horse would have a non-human actor and it's not an animation, which is a really hard stretch. But again, he brings that, as you said, kind of that Saving Private Ryan quality. He's like doing a war movie, unlike any war movie he's ever done before, and that really kind of causes things to pop, like the score in those scenes where again we have these really dramatic war scenes that play really well with Williams' score.
Mm.
So of course
I
you'll
just
notice
love the woodwinds in the score. That's one of the real unique elements of it.
So we're showing a lot of love towards the English countryside here. Spielberg, when we did location scouting, he was struck by the beauty of the moors in the English countryside. And actually, I believe the working title for this film is something called Dartmoor, which essentially means the moors. So
okay,
yeah, that's why we kind of really explore the land in that opening shot.
Great cold open right here, of course, just sets the tone for the movie. It's like, oh man, this boy and this horse are gonna get along, man. This is the beginning of a beautiful friendship right here.
It's very fitting to start the boy and his horse story at the beginning of Joey's life. And something kind of caught me on the rewatch is, you know what? Towards the end of the movie, we talk about, like the two of them kind of having found each other. And here's the thing. While they do kind of see, they don't really properly meet here, and they do find themselves, by coincidence, a few moments after the auction scene. So they really do find each other in the film.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of nice. So when they were casting, fun little story here. From what I understand, there was talk of Eddie Redmayne in the lead role, but Spielberg.
Oh, I totally see Redmayne in the role.
Spielberg went against the grain on this. I think he made a really smart choice. Something we need to do more with the casting these days. He, for Albert, what he did is he casted extensively, and he ended up with a stage actor who was really an unknown, and the young Jeremy Irvine.
Yeah.
As you probably guessed, they used a lot of horses when they shot this movie. Because I mean, like, don't get me wrong, you have a horse actor, and there's actually a big casting pool for the horse actor. We're going to get to, but beyond that, the horse
have the diamond on its head, Dragon. That's an important factor.
Of course, and the white socks, as they call it. These little white.
Right.
One being the big notifying memorable marks there. Anyway, so I believe they called the name for a baby horse is like a foal or something, FOAL, so foal. Point being, so usually they shot with 2 of those for the young horses, 4 for the teenage horses or colts, if you will, then another 4 for the adult horses, and then you have your lead horse, your puppet horse, stuff like that. So roughly 14 horses throughout the whole for just Joey alone.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I don't know. I just think the whole movie just kind of has this really gentle, kind of sweeping feel to it, and there's a lot of good setup and payoff to it too.
It does,
and we really do get a lot of we really do get to see the whole life of this horse, and that's what I really appreciate about it. Oh, and also, Dragon, one thing I need to bring up. So I was recently traumatized by a little movie called Call of the Wild, which managed to be about a dog, and not one of the shots in the whole movie in a movie about Arctic sled dogs was real. It was all CGI. So, Dragon, you have that. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I appreciate this movie so much is that, my God, they do not use CGI with the horses unless they absolutely have to.
Tiki, you're going to love this. I was going to save this for later, but since you're asking about it, there are only 3 CG shots of the horse in the entire film.
I think I know what one of them is. I assume one of them is the shot of him kind of climbing up the trench wall.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
And
I mean, they're all in the third. They're all in the third act, Tiki. Pretty much everything up to the third act. It's all real.
Yeah. Okay.
So we are starting with the horse auctions, a pivotal scene within the piece. Again, like a lot of the classics, you kind of start with the auction scene, where again, like we show like them kind of at their lowest point. Of course, we then will kind of go full circle by the end of the movie in a really nice way. I really love how full circle the auction kind of ended up being.
Oh yeah. And Dragon, just check your Spielberg bingo card because we got some Spielberg daddy issues.
That we do, sir. That we do.
This movie's chock full of daddy issues, but I like how subtle they are, and I like how dignified the payoff is at the end.
So basically, what we do is we frame the father and the son as men who have, by the end of the movie, they're both going to be at a place where they both have been through war and are both kind of brought to this auction, and both kind of they're both trying to invest in hope. Tiki, lean. There you go. Anyway, so they're both trying to invest in hope, and they're only. However, Ted here, he's really fueled by ego within this initial bidding auction before it's like ultimately going to be at the heart of the kid who's bidding in the auction. You know, it's like, they'll bid for that horse, man. We gotta get Joey back. Before we get there, it's all just the ego of Ted right now. It's like he wants to kind of stick it in the landlord's face right now. Like, hey, I could buy that horse.
Dragon, who's the actor for Ted?
Well, a lot of them are English stage actors, and I'm not really familiar with a whole lot of them.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because Ted, he's got a real Robbie Coltrane quality to him. Do you know Robbie Coltrane?
I'm not sure.
He's Hagrid from Harry Potter.
Oh, that is him, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just because he's kind of got that like gruff, but gruff exterior, but he's a teddy bear underneath it all.
Yeah.
Right. So I love how comedic this auctioneer is, Dragon. This movie is actually a surprisingly funny film.
Yeah, it is in places for sure. Yeah. So now here, of course, we have David Thewlis here. Of course, it's kind of like the big, and he's in another World War I centric film in Wonder Woman.
Yes, he is.
Basically, he's fine until we realize he's part God. And again, like the rule of thumb is gods don't have mustaches. That's the one thing you take away from one.
And also, Dragon, David Thewlis plays my favorite Harry Potter character. Believe it or not, Remus Lupin.
Oh,
yeah, Remus Lupin. So,
okay.
A lot of Harry Potter connections. Well, I mean, Robbie Coltrane isn't really in this movie, but every time I hear this guy's voice, I hear Hagrid, though. So
well, there is an actual Harry Potter actor in this film later on. So, I mean, outside.
I'm not surprised. I'm sure there's a few Harry Potter
That's what I'm
actors
saying.
in this
So
movie, Dragon.
I gotta tell you, here's the thing with Ted. Though. I mean, Ted, he's like a drunk, man. He's like, this is a guy who's been lost for a long. You can hear it in his voice.
He's Zach from 13 Reasons Why season 4.
Yeah, you can't just keep going to the well with Zach.
Yes, I can, Dragon. Yes, I can.
Well, so much for a timeless commentary. Okay, so
Dragon, you don't think 13 Reasons Why season 4 is going to be timeless?
Okay. Anyway, focus up.
All right.
So very appropriately, our bidding here goes up to 30 guineas, and of course that's going to be the exact amount later on in the third act too, which is really kind of cool. So
I like how delighted this guy looks when he bids. He's like, "Yeah, that's right. You can't outbid me. I got you."
And of course, in return, there, when he tips him the hat, he's like, "Okay, well, I'm going to get your land now, so thanks for that." Oh, by the way, this is an actual town, by the way. It's an actual living, town they live in.
Oh, is it really? Huh.
Yeah, apparently it was an actual
looks like a very
town.
old-fashioned, like, colonial town.
Yeah, it's cool. It might be like might have been refurbished into a historical thing, but I assume people still live there, so it's,
Nice.
They actually turned some locations. Once we get to the farmhouse was like this. They had this like destroyed, dilapidated like stone structure they rebuilt into a barn. So I wonder if they keep that up after the production, if they tear it down or something afterwards, because it was a really nice little thing they constructed. Again, this was all just rubble when they got there.
Mm-hmm.
Now this actress here, oh man, so we have Rose here, Rosie. She's played by Emily Watson. Now Emily Watson, oh my goodness, great actress. Two things that pop to mind: she's Reba in Red Dragon. She's the blind lady in Red Dragon, the movie, which such a good movie. And she's the one who kind of humanizes the, she humanizes the, she humanizes the killer. She humanizes Frances Dollarhide, and also she was Victoria in The Corpse Bride.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't know, Dragon. I feel like this first act It really does shine for me just because it, like, I feel like it does have the most lighthearted. Obviously, it's the most lighthearted of the acts. It really does get you to. I feel like without it, the ending isn't as palatable. Like, we really do like. This is a movie that truly like marinates on itself, Dragon, because we set up like the relationship with the mother, how the mother is stern but supportive, and then of course how distant he is from the father and how he can't speak to his father in words, and how at the end of the movie they don't need words to communicate, all they need is a handshake. There's a lot of substance here that's kind of like marinating just under the surface of what seems to be a rather lighthearted movie.
Yeah. So
right. So I just want to point out that the goose is named Harold. Hashtag but I was hungry.
Oh God.
I just love the fact that the goose has a name. I just think that's so charming.
Well, like this whole opening sequence is still like playing to the fear of the kind of movie this was going to be before things, things definitely turn around when like it's kind of like it turns into this whole like, can the horse plow the field? That's when things start to turn around for me. It's like okay, it's a very simple task, and then things definitely get really interesting.
Also, Dragon, apparently in the theater show, the goose is like a really popular role that's always played by like a really popular actor.
Oh, really?
He's kind of like Snoopy or the genie or something like that.
Well, I think he's definitely underutilized here. You know what's weird though? When they were adapting this, they did defer to the play mostly on this because the way the play's narrative works, I guess, is that I want to say I don't know what the difference is between the source material. I want to say that the play focuses a little bit more on like the horse going from place to place. It's more the horse's story.
I watched a trailer for the play, and it looked like it was pretty much like a beat by beat of the horse going from place to place. But I don't know how it resolves itself. I mean, I assume it resolves itself in the same way because I also saw, like the whole bit at the end, like the whole bit at the end of Act 1, like I will get you back, Joey. I promise you.
Wait, so what do you think of this relationship between Joey and
Albert?
Albert, thank you.
Albie, if you want to be all cutesy. Lean.
Okay. What do you think of this relationship? How well do you think it's pulled off?
I think it's pulled off very well, and that's what I'm saying. Like, the big fear was that it was going to be something a little cheesy, and again, maybe it started off a little bit like that, with like he's giving him the
cheesy as hell. It's cheesy as hell.
What I'm saying is, I think it legitimizes itself through the story as it goes on. Like it starts off in the cheesy camp, but then I think it really endears itself when they get separated. That's when things really get like that. That's when like the whole pendant runner. I love the pendant runner. I love how that parallels their relationship, about the promise of we physicalize a promise that they're going to come back to each other. Like right now, a lot of this is. It's kind of padding. It's not terrible padding, but it is a little bit of padding where, okay, we need to establish that they build a trust. It's like he's training the horse. We get it. But that's what I'm saying. We have to show by the same token. It's like we're kind of checking the boxes a little bit here, but it's not bad. It's not bad at all. Like the important thing we set up here is the horse call. Sorry.
The horse call is important. Yeah.
That's the important thing we set up here. But yeah, I don't know. The name Joey's it's nice. And
obviously
simple.
It's the name that he named the horse in real life, so you can't necessarily, like, it's not like you can name him a different name, but I think it's a weird name, honestly.
Well, I mean, given the whole jumping thing, it's kind of funny, I guess. The whole,
you think that is what it boils down to, is the jumping thing, you think?
Well, I mean, it's not an Australian story, so I can't really lump it in with the whole it would definitely be an intentional thing if it were told from that perspective. But I don't. It might be just purely coincidental. Like we needed. I don't know. It's just something we need, something a little cutesy, and I guess he does. I'm looking for logic in it, man. It's kind of cool if he jumps, and that's why we call him Joey.
So yeah, I don't know, man. I do like these, like the antics with the goose on the side. I know it doesn't really amount to much, but it kind of it makes the first act just feel more lighthearted.
Sure. And again, we're going to go to some dark places in the story, so I guess it's warranted.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
So I think now we have the cult horse right now. One of the two 4 cult horses we have right here. Let's see. I believe this. Oh yeah, Andrew here. We have this is his friend who's going to be very much kind of like really affected by the war later on. Is one of his buddies right now. I like that we see two of his buddies. I do have really
So this
interesting
is the
worlds
guy
in
that
this
he
world.
rescues. Like you're gonna have to kind of help me with this.
Okay,
Like,
okay. So there he has two friends.
so
Okay,
this
now
is the guy that's affected when he's asked to shoot the deserters, right?
yes, that's the guy.
Okay, that's what I thought. And then the other guy is going to be the guy that he rescues.
Well, okay. I'm sorry. Let me make it simple. Okay, this guy
I'm
is
sorry,
the one that he.
Dragon. I'm sorry. Excuse my ignorance.
Okay, no, yeah, this Andrew here, he's the guy who's shell shocked in the field that he saves. Like, we're gonna be okay. He's the one who has like I'll be before he gets gassed. This is the guy who gets gassed.
Uh-huh.
Okay, now I think it's Cody. That I won't get to his name later on. The point of the Toby Keeble character. You know, the Toby Keeble character. He's the one who's like giving the business. He's the one who drives the car. He gives him the business, and he's the one who saves him in the barbed wire. So that's the other friend.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, now we're doing like the horse call thing that comes from the Indians, which again is like kind of a nice classic kind of Western thing, you know, with the cowboys and the Indians and the whole like we're kind of the old Native American kind of horse call thing. That's a really nice idea, and again, will kind of save their bacon in the third act. And like, oh no, he's gonna put the horse out of his misery.
Oh, Dragon! Oh my God! Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah, we'll get there.
But
yeah,
I was on the edge of my seat with that. All right, so we're establishing. I don't know. I really like the fact that we're kind of like just slowly building up the bond and the trust, and it doesn't come right away. You know what I mean? It comes quickly and it comes fast, but I feel like he does have to work for it every step of the way. It's not just an instant connection.
Yeah. Of course, also we have to set up some friendship here. So, like in a few moments, once David Thewlis comes back to collect his payment, things are definitely gonna get really tense, and like we're gonna almost yet again. There's kind of a running theme. We're almost shooting horses in the head a lot in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And basically, we have to set up like, okay, he's growing an attachment to the horse because he saw him born. He kind of has like, it's like a little bit of it's kind of essentially the relationship goes from pet to brother because that's essentially what the relationship is between him and this horse. Is that they become very brotherly, which sounds a little weird, but just go with me on it. Yeah, it's like they kind of build a very close relationship, and the idea is when they go off to war separately, it's like separating a brother from his other brother during the wartime thing.
I get a nice chuckle out of that moment when he's up in the tree trying to call him.
That's what I'm saying. I'll take shenanigans like that, sure, but I think I think a lot of that could have been economized in a montage versus like I think we're kind of maybe a little bit too much breathing room at towards the start. But again, we're starting to sharpen things up from this point.
But like I said, Dragon, I feel like it's marinating. That's the word I use. It's like we're slowly cooking up the tension, you know, like, and this is the first little bit of tension, you know, before we get into the World War I stuff of it all, which is obviously going to be the bigger conflict. We're going to get into this smaller scales conflict of saving the farm, which is going to be kind of like the big basis for Act 1. And so I do like the fact that there is breathing room, because obviously Act 2 is going to be relentless. Act 2 is going to be like the globe-trotting adventure.
Yes. Oh, it's Colin, by the way. That was the name. I was thinking that Toby Keeble's character is Colin. I think that's him in the scene right now, actually. I think he's the son on the left.
No, you're right. Yeah.
So, okay, so here's where you kind of set up the stakes here with the old Thulis here as Lions, the landowner. Where basically we establish the stakes of we got to get Joey to do the impossible as a plow horse, which he's more of like kind of a prancy horse. He's not exactly a plow horse. You know, he's too beautiful to be a plow horse. And we basically what we're doing here is this kind of leads to an attack of the tangible hope, which later will kind of translates to Joey becoming a symbol for basically, okay, Joey has to do this impossible thing, which of course later on he'll represent an impossible thing. So that's kind of I think it's really the cool thing in the plotting of the film here. Okay, Act 1 we start off very simple. Can the horse plow the field? To can the horse kind of plow the metaphorical field?
Right.
And also, we're setting up the encroaching war here. We're basically Thulis saying, "Well, I'm going to need that horse and everything. I'm going to need the resource and the money because there's a war coming. We're going to need that money. So you definitely got to pay me by August, by October. He's going to give him until October to kind of do the impossible here, planting turnips."
Yep. Oh, Dragon! And if you know anything about Animal Crossing, you know that turnips are incredibly valuable It's what makes the Animal Crossing economy go round, buddy.
Are they running from that goose?
Yes, they are.
Why are they running from the goose?
Dragon gooses are mean. Are you kidding me? I would run from a goose.
No.
I
too would run, but those I don't buy that those guys at that time period are going to be intimidated by a goose. It's like the man's.
I buy it.
Time.
I don't know. I buy it. It's just fun Spielberg shenanigans, Dragon.
All right,
come
fine.
on. I can't believe I'm the one defending this stupid movie.
You just called it stupid, so you're not doing a good job.
I know it's stupid because it's so corny, but I still like it. All right, I'm allowed to like stupidly corny movies. All right.
All right. Fine. Okay, so now we're getting into the definitely the daddy issues here, where father again, kind of he's made made a lapse in judgment, but importantly though, within his lapse in judgment, what he did is again he did kind of make the hopeful endeavor, but he made it in a drunken stupor. Like it would be nice if this would work out, when of course he doesn't really fully comprehend. He kind of goes with that to the fact of like, okay, I'm gonna show that landowner I really didn't think this through. So now it's like. Again, he's not thinking things through that. Okay, what's the sensible thing to do? Let's shoot the horse. Okay, let's just shoot him in the head because he can't do the job, right. Basically. But also, it's a bit of like kind of a symbolic gesture. He wants to kill him. He hates himself a little bit, so he's killing the horse, which represents himself. That's kind of what he's trying to do here as well. Got a little dark there, folks. I think that's kind of what he's getting at there. It's like, again, the horse represents his mistake and his failings.
The first seriously dramatic moment in this movie is when the son just that shot where it pans from like the horse to him loading the gun, and then it pans back to the son stepping in the way of the gun. Like that's some powerful stuff right there, man. That's some powerful framing.
Certainly. So, the enemy of the film seems to, as a whole, if you wanted to boil down kind of what the enemy, because I know obviously we have like a German enemy and everything, but even as the film goes on, it kind of humanizes the German side of things once we get to my favorite scene in the movie. So like we're kind of building towards that. So overall, I think the enemy in quotes of the film is stubbornness and kind of the pride of power and ceremony. Like we do all these things and things are done in a certain way, and like war is waged in a certain way, and we lose sight of that versus kind of the soft-spoken compassion and kind of like just kind of like kind of a gentleness. It's like war versus peace, very literally. Where again, the boy here, he's suggesting like, no, give him more time with the horse. Don't just throw a plow on him. He can't take it right now. So let's be gentle. Give it some time. Let's show some compassion for it. Versus like, we got to get things done. We need to make deadlines. There's war coming. There's like, I need a freaking plow horse. We got to make ends meet. Of course, again. So that's kind of the enemy of the film. In this case, by the father, by Thulis's character, and as basically the Germans as a whole until we get to that scene in the third act. They're all very like, we got to like, now, horses aren't people. I don't care if anyone says horses are not people.
Well, Dragon, in the trailer, we have a really powerful line that pops up that I think really represents the movie. And I don't remember what character says it. I think it's the grandfather character that we meet later on. He says, imagine going into war and you can't look down. You have to look ahead. If you look down, that's it. And man, I just think that's really like what the heart of the story is. The fact that like horses in war, like they're noble, beautiful creatures, but Jesus Christ, are they sacrificial lambs for the most part?
And that's what I'm saying. This is what I really like about the movie, is that the movie is kind of a last ride for that thing where basically they learn the hard way in a really effective scene in the movie that, yeah, the time for horses in war is kind of done when you're really looking at it's like, this was kind of a bad idea. I don't know what we were thinking with this. Like, for World War II, we have no horses for the very reason we see in this movie. Like, horses, guns. Horses, guns. It's not going to mix well. So that's why World War II, we don't have any horses anymore. At least we don't have horses in a major way. So let's see. So anyway, so again, circle back to the dad issues for a moment here. So again, I like that we have the father who is a drunk who is numbing his pain and kind of using the alcohol to fuel his dreams, versus the optimistic son who's trying to make those hopeful dreams, the flights of fantasy the father has, a reality. That's kind of what that whole gun to the head scene was all about. Where it's like, you spoke the truth. I can make this happen. You just got to trust me. I mean, a big part of the film is courage. Courage and hope are like the big cornerstones of the film, that's what I really love. It's kind of like what I liked about Munich. I love what Spielberg's like core belief about these films are. I like what the core theme of the films have been. Where here it's about, it's like the courage to take a risk and to, back the wild horse play, as it were. The father took a risk, and the boy's backing the wild horse play.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of the unlikely kind of side of things.
David Thewlis is just like so. He's just so cocky, Dragon, in this scene.
He's
just like, oh boy, time to see these people fail, so I can take back them.
So I'm so glad you brought up that, because that really, this is what I'm saying. I'm trying to draw a parallel here. What kind of reminds me of? I could be reading into it way too much, but just go with me on this. Is that I think maybe it mirrors young Spielberg, in that Spielberg going up against the studio system, which would be Lions, which would be basically like Jaws era Spielberg, if you will. Spielberg being the young buck with who has the courage to take a risk. I'm going to make a movie on the ocean, which has never been done before because it's a suicide move. I'm going to back this crazy play, and basically Spielberg's kind of channeling kind of the young director through this boy trying to do the impossible, plowing this field. Everyone's saying this is going to be a disaster. You're going to be fired. Your career's going to be ruined. You were like the Universal put all their chips on you, and you failed them like that. It's kind of like, well, maybe subconsciously a little Spielberg in there. I don't know.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like Thewlis is just like toying with this guy here. It's just like, oh, it's the pain, isn't it? It's the pain why you drink. Makes me question the wisdom of charity that I put this place up to you to begin with. Like, he's just a dick, man.
He is. We have a few really, really harsh characters in this, like real prickish characters. So speaking of which,
but I love it because, like, I when I see David Thewlis, it's like, I think of Lupin, and I think like, it's like the best father figure that Harry Potter ever had in his long line of failed father figures. But no, not in this movie. In this movie, David Thewlis is just an asshole.
What I really liked about Lines of Scene just now, where he's really chastising, chastising Ted, is I love we have this boisterous, we have this boisterous, almost dark Greek choir of a character, the one who's framing the dramatic irony of the situation. Is this really he's boisterous up against the very silent, very internalized Ted, who's just like kind of a very, very stoic character in many respects.
Mm-hmm. So you mentioned that this was this plow scene was when the movie really gets going for you, and I agree. Yeah. This is definitely the high point of Act One,
like the old Greek.
And one of the high points for the movie as well, I think, because the character later goes on to say that this is the greatest moment of his life. So this is a very pivotal scene here.
Yeah. And again, this is like it's like the old Greek myth, like Sisyphus. I'm going to butcher the guy's name, Sisyphus or something. The guy who pushed the boulder up the mountain. That guy. It's very much kind of like that. Like this guy kind of trying to do the impossible, even if it's going to like fall on his face a bunch of times. As we see here, a kid falling on his face a few times. He's got to man that plow, darn it.
Mm-hmm.
And again, like the kid here, I love that throughout the scene, even though Thewlis off to the side is mocking him incessantly. And I love that eventually we're going to have Rosie stick up to him. And that's why, Emily Watson's awesome. I just want to get that. She's so awesome. Again, Red Dragon's amazing. She does that role. Have you ever seen Red Dragon? Have I ever asked you that?
Red Dragon. That is that's the Edward Norton one, right?
Yeah, it's the prequel to Silence of the. Yeah, I love that movie. Anyway, so
the one I haven't seen is Manhunter.
Yeah, I mean, it's good, but to me, it's no Red Dragon. Anyway, I'm sorry, I don't mean to derail. So my point is, I love that Thewlis here. I love that he kind of has like a backhanded respect towards Albert, where he says, "Yeah, you did more than your father could," which is still an insult, but it's still it's like.
Oh no! Don't get me wrong. When he goes up to Albert, he's still a dick.
Yeah. I mean, I do like that he's kind of has like that backhanded respect for him, though. Well, I mean, the kid he's really given his all to prove me wrong, even though he doesn't have a prayer.
You still failed, but
yeah, he put more into it than the old man. I mean, he did it. He went out there and fell on his face a bunch of times. And yeah, look, the whole crowd too. That's what really makes this really cruel. Like, and again, like they're rooting for. We're all with you. They're giving like unhelpful. Keep it straight. Keep it straight. That's not going to help in this situation at all.
Right.
I'm sure there's like an actual farming logic to this. I'm not trying to like point anything out here, but when Thewlis pulls up with his vehicle, with his car, you'd imagine I mean, wouldn't you attach the plow to the car if you really had that much trouble with the horse? I mean, I imagine these guys don't have the car, but I mean, thinking there is like an actual farming logic to it. I'm just saying, it's kind of occurred to me, hey, I wonder if they were really thinking about using the cars if you didn't have a horse.
I don't know. Like you said, I'm sure there's a
there's
an
logic
behind it, but
it's like there might be like an exhaust thing. There might be like again, cars were scarce at that point in time. There's an actual. I'm saying something kind of popped
also fuel.
Exactly, fuel. So again,
they can't just be going around wasting fuel. This is a very poor family.
That's got to be the chief reason. It's got to be a fuel thing why we don't. I mean, we don't have like the riding mowers or like the tractors or anything at this point.
Right.
So that's got to anyway. Also, little thing. I love the rain here. The rain looks great. The way he shot the rain in this scene.
Oh yeah, totally.
It's coming down, man. That's movie rain for you. Nothing beats movie rain.
I love the random old lady giving Rosie her wool.
Yep, and again gives her kind of teeth for the moment here. Where
oh yeah, big time.
Oh yeah, and the kid's still going at it, man. Look at him in his prime.
In the words of Rick, look at him go.
I was thinking more like Mr. Krabs, like look at him in his prime. But sure, let's So again, the determination of a boy and his horse, proving their worth, even inspires his mother, inspires Rosie, and she sees it, man. She's sold on the movie in this moment as well. That's kind of where it's getting me. Like, oh man, even she's sold.
Dragon, I feel like this moment is when everyone gets sold on the movie. It's right here when the plow goes into the dirt. It's like, yeah, it's not just rocks. He did it. He can do it. Walk on, Joey. Walk on. God damn! I mean, Dragon. I'm a cynical motherfucker when it comes to movies.
Oh, I'm painfully aware of that.
This got to me, man. This is what Spielberg does better than anyone else. I think is these sort of sentimental moments, and then oh no, Dragon, the rock. What's he gonna do with the rock? Go around it. Go around it. No.
Press on, Joey. Press on. But again, that's the symbol for the movie right there. He's cutting through that rock. He ain't going around it. Look at Andrew there. He's looking all hopeful. Yeah. Yeah. There's just like, again, that's what I'm saying. The cornerstones of the movie. Again, it's like the hope and the courage. They kind of do something risky. Even it can be mocked by everyone. You know it's going to work. And again, I'm seeing parables of Spielberg in this. I'm really cool.
Sure.
Look at that movie, Ray. I'm sorry, it's a really good movie, Ray. Oh, yes, here we go. Mom is sticking up for the cub here.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, he's trying to parent her, which is like the worst idea you could ever say to a caring mother. Like, don't do that to parent her kid. Like, she's going to jam those things in his freaking eyes right there. Look at that.
Right.
Like, enough deriding, enough prating on about my son and my family, my husband, none of that. Enough of that. I've heard enough of you. One of those Harry Potter movies, they stunk, according to her. Because her had an insult to injury.
Well, he was only in like 3 of them, to be fair.
Yeah, sure.
Anyways.
You know my favorite actor was in those movies?
Who?
No, I'm saying like what they would say. Or he'd say Alan Rickman.
Alan Rickman is everyone's favorite actor in those movies. Let's be fair.
Yeah, he was, and he was fantastic. Even me not being a Harry Potter guy, even like the scenes I saw, like, oh man, he was great.
Yeah.
Get it done, Albie. Get it done.
Get it done, Albie. God damn it, Dragon. That's what I'm talking about. Like, this movie is just filled with like sentimental as hell moments like that I actually get sucked into. I really do.
Yeah. So this is really great.
It takes a talent to do that for me because I'm a jaded old man at this point.
That you are. You're the crotchetiest guy I've ever met. You're not the crotchetiest guy I've ever met.
I'm pretty crotchety. I'll admit.
I've met far worse than you. You're on the totem pole, but not that high on the totem pole, buddy. Anyway, but yeah, this seems like he was just dead tired. He has to be lifted back into the barn, and again, like the father, he's taking responsibility for the horse here, bringing him back. And again, this whole plow. Look at that plowed field, man. Look at the end result of all that.
Call Mr. Plow. That's my name. That name again is Mr. Plow.
Okay, so I have a big conversation scene here about again about the daddy issues kind of side of things here. So we're talking about the Second Boer War, and essentially this is the big South African conflict that the British had. Where essentially this is where I want to say this, and I could be wrong here. Again, I'm not. Usually, when I reflect back in the war, I think all of us kind of usually go to World War II or something. This is going a little further back, so forgive me if I'm on the up and up about this. It's like the old Afghan. There's the old. You look at Sherlock Holmes. Watson always has the cane with the sword in. The cane from the sword comes from like the Afghanistan War, which I think ties into the South African thing. It might. I'm not sure, but the point being, like the older war before World War One, you had that sort of battle. Again, there's like kind of the brutal war, the British waged. I guess they were involved, and so that's what his father was in. And this is like basically we have the untold trauma parallel here, which is also a little foreshadow for Joey's journey. I thought, where Joey is a nonverbal character, and again, Ted here. Ted is a stoic, kind of silent character for the most part. He doesn't speak about his trauma. Therefore, for all we know, he's had adventures very much like Joey's had. And he's lost friends. He's come across people who their stories didn't turn out so happy, because this horse goes through a lot. This horse would have PTSD in real life. Let's be honest.
This movie very much reminds me of Appa's Lost Days, Dragon.
Oh yeah, I was wondering when you were going to get to that reference. Yeah,
right. It's got that sort of feel to it.
But that's what I'm saying. So we're kind of drawing a parallel between the father and the horse a little bit there, which kind of adds. Ultimately, the horse is going to bring father and son together. So that's kind of another huge thing with the moment here. And of course, we introduce the pendant. All the medals in the pennant that the father kind of ditched, because again, it's a really nice. I love how Emily Watson played this scene where she's saying he refuses to be proud of killing, which is a really great moral to us. I just love there's a moral. It's a great moral staple at the cost of your sobriety. It's really, you have like a moral high ground, but at the cost of your sobriety, because you just can't live with all the guilt that you've put upon yourself. You can't. It's a moral stance, but it's cost you your sobriety. Really interesting stance to take on that, I guess.
Sure.
Of course, we set up that he's going to look after Joey, he'll look after you. The bond is definitely forged at this point. The pen is kind of the symbol for this. It's also a symbol for war, and definitely it brings our transition, which follows us. The minute this thing enters the fray, then war comes.
Yes, war.
Yes. What's it good for? Okay.
All right. So, this symbol, man? This symbol. I'm sorry, I forget exactly what it is. The proper term for it, but
it's the the point. It's the pennant. It's the pennant for like
the pennant. That's what I'm looking for. Yeah.
It's the pennant for the branch that he was in during the Second Boers War.
I think that's a really strong. It's just a really smart move to have something to kind of like visually track Joey as the movie goes on, and B, it's just a nice symbol, and it's a nice kind of like moment of fatherhood and brotherhood kind of tracking in the movie.
Absolutely. And again, I love that once we introduce this, then we're inviting war into the story, which again is going to follow, and that's what's going to send Joey on his journey. So the minute that thing enters, that's where our story really gets going. So here we go. Here's I believe the Toby Kebbell character.
Yeah.
Colin, who again, like him, having hot shot in his car there. There's some real horsepower.
Do you think that this guy like kind of holds a grudge against Albie in this moment because he kind of overshadows his date in a way?
He does,
kind
but
of
upstages him, yeah. And that's the thing.
Yeah.
He does, and I love that later on we do call back this moment in dialogue, and I think the big takeaway is that he doesn't even remember this moment. And I think it's more so that he was so entrenched in the war, he's kind of forgotten about the lighthearted moments. That was the point.
Okay, I like that. I like that better.
So also in
this better interpretation than I had.
So Toby Kebbell, by the way, he was from the Planet of the Apes movies. He played Koba. He played the enemy to Caesar in those films.
No, I'm aware.
And he was
he kind of had a renaissance of playing CGI characters back in the day. He was also in like World of Warcraft, playing an orc and other such roles.
And he was in the terrible the dumpster fire that was Fan Four Stick, so he was in that too.
right. God.
Okay, so now we have. Okay, I'll admit. So here's the thing. This is a double-edged sword. What happens here in the moment? These are the moments I'm talking about. There's some moments in this movie I kind of wish they were as cut to because the thing I think the movie is like it's in a perfect space where it's not too long, it's not too short. I kind of wish it was closer to 2 hours. You know what I mean? Where I mean, like it's like there's 9 minutes of credits.
I don't necessarily agree here, honestly. If it was if it was pushing 3 hours, then I would agree. But honestly, Dragon, I feel like given the scope of this movie, given the fact that it is a war movie, and we have to set up a really deep boy-in-his war story at the same time in the first act, and given the fact that Act 2 is like basically a globe-trotting adventure, or at least an adventure across all of Europe, I think 2.5 hours is pretty damn reasonable, especially for a Spielberg movie. I think this could have very easily been 3 hours.
Oh, sure, but I mean, whenever you chalk it, we have like 9 minutes of credits with that too. That's the thing I'm saying. You gave out the 9 minutes of credits, but even I don't know.
That's what I'm saying. With the 9 minutes of credits, it's a 2 hour and 20-minute movie.
What I'm saying is it really comes into play once we get into the vignetted story, where that's where we get into the big question, like, do we need some of these scenes? But we'll cover that bridge when we get there. Importantly, though, here's the double-edged sword.
There's one vignette that I think you and I can probably agree we don't necessarily need, but I do think it kind of foreshadows themes that come up later in the movie, so we'll get there.
Okay, we'll get there. Anyways, my point is here's the storm that we just had is a blessing and a curse for the story. Okay, it transitions our narrative in a big way that we need. So that's the pro. The con is that it renders all the empowering plowing things that we just did makes it really pointless. And I feel like, oh man, we just did all that plowing stuff. It meant something. So that's the thing that kind of bugs me about it. Like, I mean, it was like, yeah, I definitely want to get to the scene that we're about to get to. It was like, really? Did we have to undo it in such a way where a storm came and it ruined the crops? And all of everything you loved was for nothing. And it rained during that scene, so it doesn't matter anymore. So it's like,
I hear you.
Anyway.
All right, so the ringing of the bells, of course, a big important historical moment that we're going to pay back later in the movie.
Yep.
All right. Oh, boy.
So here we go.
This is my favorite bit of acting from Emily Watson in the whole movie, this look that she gives him.
Yeah, this is good. So another thing the movie's a little dicey with. It's not. It kind of plays, but in some until we get to the third act, it's a little tricky. There is a 4-year passage of time in this film. I mean, technically 6 years, because we started in 1912. The war starts in 1914, and we end in 1918. So the point being, 4 to 6 years pass. And the only way you can really earmark it is like the war starts in 1914, and we're towards the end of the war by the third act. So that's. I don't know, because we don't really earmark it that well. You can only track it by the horses. I mean, I think it's there enough, but it's a little hard to track in certain places. Like when the boy.
I mean, it's a bit hard to track, but my argument for it, though, Dragon, is that since the movie is mostly told from the horse's point of view,
yeah, I guess
it's not like horses exactly have a concept of time. You know what I mean?
I never thought.
No, that's the thing. I feel like that's the cool thing about this movie, and I feel like that's also why German soldiers and British soldiers are treated so equally in this movie, and that German soldiers don't really get villainized at all in this movie, is that from a horse's point of view, they're all just people. And I feel like the horse's point of view of it all really does play a big role in this film.
I think, you know what, seriously, I never thought of it that way. I think you have a point. I'm going to redact my grievance there, because I think you made an excellent point.
Okay. All right. Well,
okay, so this is great. Tom Hiddleston.
Yeah, ladies and gentlemen, the young Tom Hiddleston. Yes.
And again,
yes.
like pre-Thor.
In the same year as the original Thor, correct?
Yeah, well, I mean, they shot the year. I guess they shot the same year they were shooting. The point is, he shot. This is before he was known for Thor at all. So it's like,
Oh, yeah.
One being, this is Tom Hiddleston right before Thor, right before he becomes an MCU star. So Spielberg, he cast Hiddleston because he got a real Errol Flynn vibe off him, which he does really capture. I mean, the guy's charming the guy's got charm for days in this role. I loved Captain Nichols here. So Captain Nichols, and also it's kind of funny that look.
He instantly gets the attachment and the importance that this horse has to this boy, and he instantly respects it.
He's such a great and respectable character. I love that Captain Nichols here. he didn't have to be as decent as he was in this scene. That's what I really loved about it. Where he could have just, hey, I bought the horse fair and square, get out of my way, kid. He could have been, could have been callous. He could have like the other, like the little flunky here, this little prickish flunky that Captain Nichols has in the scene. But you see what I mean? Like, he was so nice, and that's what I'm saying. He showed him just such care. And again, like, the whole point of this character is he's all about the civility in war. He's about like the hope of civility. Like, this is the guy who's like championing. Yeah, we ride horses in the battle. It's kind of a grand thing we do. I want the pretty. I want the strapping horse to be like very Errol Flynn-esque. I want to ride the battle in style, man. But I want to show respect for the horse. The horse is like it's like a fellow soldier. It's like this guy's all about the grandioseness of war. And the idea, Tiki, again, World War I was kind of a first for everyone in many respects, and that these guys don't know how bad and gory it's going to be. They don't know trenches are going to come into play when they start this war.
Right. Yeah,
so that's the idea. That's why he's going with like the glory of battle, right? And that's why he has the liberty. And of course, ultimately, the tragedy to the Nichols character that he learns the hard way. Oh God, I prepared for this all wrong. But seriously, it was such a beautiful scene. Him being so careful with them there, and also like there's so much. I love with Ted as well. There's so much shame in Ted selling his son's horse, and like Albert here is just begging for his horse. Please, sir. And again, like Nichols sees it entirely, but Ted is saying it's the finest horse I've ever seen. And Ted does feel bad about it, though. He says, like, I got to do it. I got to make the rent. And again, that's absolutely the Spielberg daddy issues moment right there, where it's like, I'm selling the horse to pay. Like, I'm doing something terrible for a good cause.
Oh yeah.
And again, there's a sad thing. Again, World War I here, little factors that all these guys think they're going to be back within the year.
Yeah. World War I and just all these war movies in general, Dragon. It's really kind of not exactly a subject that quells my anxiety for the current timeline that we're in right now.
And again, the little tying of the pendant here, and again, the whole point of the pendant was that his father did this sort of thing too, like he promised the pendant as like a return thing. And it's kind of insurance that you're going to come back, and this is the insurance they're going to meet each other, they're going to find each other like they found each other in the first place. So that's a really nice, fun runner that we can establish here. And also,
go ahead.
Spielberg's first World War I movie. That was another draw for him for the movie. He's never done.
Yeah, for sure. So, what do you think? What do you think in the when you were first watching the movie? Did you think it was inevitable that he was going to reunite with the horse? Did you think that there was going to be something tragic that was going to happen with it?
Here's the thing. Movie had me guessing a couple times here because initially I thought the boy was
It did. I was on my feet.
Initially, I thought he was going to be drafted in that moment, and then I realized, like, oh, no, he's not. This is a genius part of the movie right now, where, okay, you think your movie's going to go, okay, it's still going to be a boy and his horse movie. Like, I'm thinking, like, okay, they're kind of selling me on the boy and his horse movie. Then, nope, not boy and his horse movie. It's all the horses movie. He's going along in this story here. He's going to war. Basically, the horse got enlisted, not the kid, which you don't really expect.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, it was going to be involved in the war. I didn't know it was going to go this way. And then I didn't think I knew he was going to reunite with the kid. I didn't know. I thought it was going to be like, oh, he's going to make it home. Somehow he's going to make it from the war front back home. But I did not see, the kid being on the battlefield with him. I didn't see that at all.
Mm-hmm.
So again, this is really cool here. Again, the horse has been drafted into a war that he's not prepared for. And again, here's the ridiculous thing, but again, so ridiculous in a great way. Spielberg did the impossible. Again, he made a compelling movie where the horses are the lead characters, and again, like this horse is leading this movie. And anyway,
sorry.
So my point is, Top Thorn here. Again, we have a compelling friendship between horses here, and again, not a word of dialogue spoken. And they're freaking horses. They're calling most of the shots.
Yeah. Oh, this is one of the hearts of the movie, Dragon. This is the source of like one of the big gut punches when these two get separated, my friend. Oh man.
Oh, by the way, so now we're on to the adult horses. Now the lead horse for Joey that does the acting is a famous horse, actually, a famous actor horse. An Oscar-nominated acting horse.
Really?
Yes, it's a Seabiscuit.
Oh no! Is it the real Seabiscuit?
No. I don't know.
The actor who played Seabiscuit.
Yeah, I don't know if I highly doubt the actual Seabiscuit played himself in the movie.
I know, right? That was a all right. But still, that's kind of like weird, sort of like BoJack Horseman, sort of like we gotta have the actor who played Seabiscuit, man. We gotta have the best horse for this.
I believe the horse actor's name is something like Finder's Key or something. I believe that's what the horse is called. So Finder's Key plays Joey. So again, if you thought like, hey, one MCU sorcerer isn't enough, we got to get the Sorcerer Supreme in on this action. Cumberbatch. In a World War I movie. I wonder where they got the idea from. Well, I'm talking you, 1917.
Oh,
so look at the front line here. I love we have three very different ranking officers here, and they're all very different. They all kind of encapsulate something different about the war. Oh, by the way, this is the first stuff they shot in the movie. All this stuff, right? The training exercise. Yeah, and this is actually on the Duke of Wellington's land, and there's actually a horse buried on this property.
Ooh.
I'm just saying it's kind of appropriate to kind of like all the history of the horses. I heard a rumor. I don't know if this is true or not, because it sounds like it wouldn't be real, but I mean, I read it somewhere that all the swords they're using right now in this exercise, these are like the last swords made for the cavalry.
Oh, really? Wow.
I don't know how that just sounds too good to be true, but I mean, it could be real. I mean, I guess it's real.
It does kind of sound too good to be true.
I wouldn't put too much stock in it. I mean, I think the other stuff I've researched, the other stuff I can confirm, that I can't confirm. So take it for what you will.
I love how just supportive Tom Hiddleston is. He really kind of like that's the thing, Dragon. That's what I love about this movie. One of the things I love, especially in the second act, is no matter who inherits the horse, they all respect the horse. You know.
Absolutely, and that's what I'm saying. I love that, the horse for a change. They get Spielberg subverting the old trope where the horse is actually in good hands, and they're like, "Oh, now he's got an abusive owner. I'm worried about the horse." And we're not doing that.
Totally.
So again, like with our three guys here, three guys leading
of course,
the pack.
there is one horrific scene of of animal. I don't want to say animal cruelty because no one intended for it to happen, but just a bad thing happens to an animal in the movie. But
So our three top ranking soldiers here, we all get to see them how they flesh out the war things. We have Major Stewart, that's Cumberbatch. He's the most confident, he's the most proper of the group. There, he's very he gets the big horse. He gets top thorn. He speaks a lot to his character. We have Lieutenant Waverly. He's the guy with the hat. So Lieutenant Waverly, he's the guy with the hat. He got promoted from rank and file. You get a sense of he was just kind of a soldier, definitely worked his way up, and he's just kind of eager. He's the guy who doesn't know how long this conflict's going to be. Where we have Tom Hiddleston's character, we have Cap Nicholas here, where he has an idea that things aren't going to go the way they're thinking. He doesn't know how bad, otherwise they would have prepared for it more. But he's like the guy. He's adding the gentle factor in there. He's adding like war needs to be won with maybe a more gentle soldier to an extent. Like he's the respectability. We have kind of we have the confidence, we have the respectability, and we have kind of like the earnestness within Waverly here. Also in this scene, I mean, just because he does play a captain, I like that that Nichols here. I like that he's drawing. We indulge the little artsy side where he's drawing, he's sketching, he's stretching. He is sketching Joey. Because they don't really have cameras, at least not cameras on the fly. At the very least, they don't have cameras on the fly. Take a picture of the horse and send it to the kids. He's sketching him to show him that he's in good health and everything. It's a really nice gesture he's doing, and also adds a little artsy side. Listen to the music. He's a casual guy. Again, the gentle soldier. If he was not like cigar smoking bluster or anything. He's get a little something Steve Rogers also had too. Like you did a little sketching in Captain America: The First Avenger. Yeah. And again, Hiddleston having his Loki always kind of making fun of Captain America. He plays a captain in this movie. It's a little funny. I don't know. We actually do have a number of Marvel actors. We have at least 4 Marvel actors in this movie. 2 of the MCU and 2 just outside Marvel.
Okay, did we just have a time skip right there?
No, they went to France. It's not a time that there's in France right now.
Okay, because we showed the date, so the movie starts in 1914 still.
Well, the movie started in 1912. 2 years go by, and then 1914 is when the war. When these guys enter the town, it's 1914. That's when the war starts.
Gotcha. Okay.
Like it was on the way.
Again, I'm trying to track the timeline.
Well, you see what I mean. I mean, you can get a sense. You have to really be paying attention, is what I'm saying. Which is not a bad thing. It's just that's what I'm saying. If you miss that time on the screen, you can be like fill in the blanks. That's all. Like, it's not. None of the stuff I'm bringing up is a deal breaker. Let me make that clear too. Okay, just like little quibbles I'm kind of noticing with the movie.
I hear you.
All right. So again, like as I said, it was great to kind of show the layers of each of the individual soldiers there, and also the hat thing. I don't want to miss that because we're getting close to the end of these guys, which is really caught me by surprise. By the way, we weren't going to spend more time. Big actors like, and again, this is before they were really huge, though. So I should have. It was yet again like another Daniel Craig thing from Munich, where I should have realized this is before they were big. I didn't think about that.
And I still maintain that Daniel Craig, I think, had plenty of screen time in Munich, but I digress.
Anyway,
what
you see what I mean. I'm using your point though. It's like, yeah, this is kind of before were household names. I mean, Cumberbatch I don't know if he had Sherlock. I don't think he had Sherlock at this point. I think it was a few years.
I don't know. I think he might have.
The point being, he was at the very least he was in its infancy if it was going on. At the very least, anyway. Point being, the Waverly lieutenant, I love these stuff. Like, I got a nice hat here. I mean, like they're less likely to shoot the guy with the nice hat, right? Well, no, maybe they're gonna. I fancy the hat. And I'm gonna shoot him first. It's like, oh, I didn't think of it that way. And again, this is really nice what he does here. And again, this really gets really far here. And again, this is kind of it's almost like a curse as well with this little pendant thing, because every time someone holds on to this pendant, something bad happens to them too. When you really think about it.
Oh yeah.
It's kind of like almost like not a gift of the Magi. It's maybe a monkey's paw. I guess that's the proper analogy. The cursed item of some kind. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean. I get what you're saying. I don't necessarily think that it's. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's like the point being, it's like they have like the possessed item that you're kind of passing off to the next guy. It's sort of like a chain email. I guess that's the terrible analogy, but
right.
The point being, he's tying the pen on because the horse is going to make it out of the scene. The rest of these guys, I don't know. Also, Cumberbatch, this is really touching for him. And I get a sense that he really takes these the World War I set movies like this and probably 1917 as well, really personally, because him in the shoes.
Cumberbatch was also in Atonement, actually.
Oh, well, there you go. It's even better.
He played a really skeezy guy in Atonement, but still, that was actually the first thing I ever saw him in, and it blew my mind looking back on it that it was him. But he's been in his share of World War I movies.
My point is, whenever he steps in the shoes, especially as like a soldier within this sort of thing, like into British history like this. It really got him. You could hear the emotion in his voice when he was given that speech. Like when he did those drills, he had like the little running exercise, little thing from earlier there, a little training exercise. It really got him emotionally when he's going back and forth because he's stepping into the shoes of history, of British history. It's a big deal. And again, this is like the honorable British history too. Like we're like riding horses in the battle. It doesn't get more noble than that.
Oh yeah.
So they're roughly, I think, 280 horses in this scene.
Wow, man, that's what I'm talking about. That's one of the big reasons why this movie impresses me as much as it does, Dragon, is that they just like in modern day Hollywood, it's just not even feasible that they just copy and paste about a dozen horses. Honestly, it's just sickening. It's sickening how much we overuse CGI these days.
It really looks dangerous because they have swords. To me, that's the thing that really worries me. If there's one guy who's off his mark,
right, totally,
something bad's going to happen. That's what it looks. I'm sure they have some sort of safety measure in place, or like maybe they're fake swords in the crowd shots. I don't know, but the point being, it's trippy. A lot of horses. Look at that. Look at these money shots. All real horses, man. You don't see that anymore, like you said.
It's Saving Private Ryan with horses, Dragon. It really is. That's what this movie should have been marketed as. It shouldn't have. This movie really shouldn't have been marketed with the boy and the horse thing. It really should have been. They really should have led with the Saving Private Ryan thing.
So in this one, now you get to see those exercises really pay off. And again, like it's the old school cavalry, like from the days of the Old West here, where it's like they're going forward, and again, like they're slicing people with those those swords, which again could do some damage until we have like the heavy art. Again, this is back when we had like the guns. They had like the bayonets, which don't wrong, cool as they are in close combat, far combat, dicey. Anyway, so the whole Salisbury formation they're doing right now. Again, this is kind of they're doing a surprise attack, which isn't super sporting, but again they're flirting with the ugliness of war. They're kind of violating the pageantry and the straightforwardness of war, and that's kind of the message of the scene. Where
right,
little compromises are going to lead to the muddiness and the surprise brutality that the war is really going to entail. Like this moment here. Now, Tom Hiddleston, he really went on about this scene because Tom Hiddleston got one of the best directions he ever got on a movie from Steven Spielberg in this scene, according to him. He really loves what happened here. So the surprise of like the machine guns, which again were really a new advent for World War I, like a machine gun like this in the waiting. was that Hiddleston, he was he was told to look in the camera, like he's about doing his last shot here. As Spielberg said, "I want you to go from age 29 you are now to age 9 when you see this machine gun."
Oh wow!
Like you're you're the
God.
age you are now, but basically looking into the camera as if it were the gun. You turn to a 9-year-old boy right now, and again, like all we need to see is we don't need to see him get shot down graphically. We see the horse running with that's like all the horses kept running through that scene, but no one was atop them. That's a great way of like subverting the whole like the gruesomeness, but we don't be like it's communicated very straightforward. Like, and the horses made it. Man.
Sure.
The men not so much. It's gonna get worse for the horses because we see later in the movie what happens to all these horses. It's like a horse holocaust to an extent. And I feel bad. I feel so bad for Stuart here, for the major here, because he really gets insulted. You thought like an open ground, so your Salisbury maneuver was going to work, and we had machine guns in the waiting. You dope.
Mm-hmm.
All we know is this guy gets off his horse, man. We don't see what happens to his body. It's like we just you can imagine like it was not pleasant. And again, basically what we saw, Tiki, was the last ride for horses in war at the start of this war. Which
Totally.
Very symbolic. And again, we see horses later on. So I'm not saying
this shot is really haunting too, man, because this shot really does kind of it starts to frame the ambiguity of war, Dragon. It really starts to frame like who are the good guys and the bad guys? Are there good guys and bad guys? Because one would just assume that this movie would paint British as the good guys, as the heroes. But then this shot just really goes and subverts that. And then throughout the movie, we're seeing the humanity of the Germans. It's kind of Fire Nation-esque, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Fire Nation Book 3.
Sure.
I'm still obsessed with Avatar.
No, we all are, Tiki. We all are. We never stopped.
All right.
So again, we see it really again. It's like it's ridiculous, but we're doing it here. Where ultimately Joey here he kind of saves Topthorn's life by calming him down later on with the little plow horse idea. This actor here, the young actor, the Schroeder brothers, these the two German brothers. The lead one here, the one who gets the one on camera right now, who gets the horse side. He gets like let's turn the horses into like we can't put artillery on them, but we can make them ambulance horses essentially, like lead the wounded man. You help get the wounded men off the field. That's David Cross as Gunther Schroeder. He's a really good actor. He's in this movie called The Reader with Kate Winslet. And also he played the young Ray Fiennes, who, again, another actor who was in Red Dragon, but again, Ray Fiennes and another Spielberg actor. So he played the young version of him in that movie. And I think he does a good job here. Again, he's also blurring the lines where it's a little Appa's Lost Day-esque. He's like the kid at the circus, where, again, we have someone a little similar to our lead character. Kind of young horse-loving, kind of young man in the war effort. A little parable there. I don't know. Builds a little trust. Again, the big takeaway from the Schroeder brothers here is, again, it's a brotherly dynamic, much like Joey has. Joey has a brotherly dynamic with Albert, so Albie. So
yeah. I'm going to be honest with you, Dragon. We're talking about, things that we would cut.
Yeah, I hear you.
This is definitely the thing that I would cut. This whole segment with the brothers.
Not
that it's bad. I want to underline. It's not
I know.
bad.
I hear you.
Stuff. It's just I feel like the stuff with the grandfather and the granddaughter has a lot more weight behind it, and it really is kind of like the heart of the climax. So this is kind of spinning its wheels just a little bit. However, I will say that there is one important theme that we have to highlight here with the subplot of the brothers, and that's the idea of being a deserter of war, which is going to come back really heavy in the trench warfare. In that one big moment where it's like, if you see someone running, you shoot him. So so we really, I think it's important that we really humanize these two guys who are running away for good reason, so that moment hits extra hard. That being said, I don't necessarily think we need 10 minutes of screen time to establish that one beat. So.
I hear you absolutely. Honestly, with those two vignettes, those two kind of mini stories within our larger narrative, I absolutely agree. I like what they're going for, but basically, there's a point in the windmill when, like, right after, okay, they've deserted with the horses. We need to get the horses out of Dodge. After that point, yeah, we don't need to be here anymore.
Yeah.
It's good stuff, but you're right. It's eating into our plot. And here's the thing with the grandfather and the little girl. It's a good story. And had we not had the scene at the very end, I would say it's the same thing as the German soldiers were again. It's like yet another vignette, but importantly, it has stakes. Therefore, it necessitates itself being there.
And it also has that speech that I talked about earlier of the horses not looking down in the war, and that's pivotal.
Certainly.
It's pivotal to the whole movie. So I certainly think that the granddaughter subplot is a lot more substantial.
I'll admit it played more for me on the rewatch, but I absolutely hear what you're saying right now. Okay, now this moment here, I'll go when he's reading like the letter, and again, it starts off. I just love like the musical kind of misdirect there, where like John was like, oh, okay, he mailed you the little
the drawing,
Yeah, hey, Joey's doing great right now, and then of course revealed Captain Nichols died. He was shot. He was killed in action. Like, wait, when like the scores completely goes silent, like, he just drops out. Like, wait, what? You killed Tom Hiddleston. How could you? We don't get to kill Loki for 10 years. What are you doing, Spielberg? What's wrong with you?
Oh God!
You killed both. You killed all the magic, man. You killed all the magic in your quote unquote sentimental film. Anyway, so again the pennant thing where again the soldier now has the pennant, and that's going to transfer itself yet again.
Mm-hmm.
And also another parable with the Schroeder brothers, not only just looking out for the brother, but the threat of separation of the brothers right now, where again, like one brother is kept with the horses. You kept as apparently every branch of the German army here, they have like a horse whisperer in the group. So this is like kind of, because I'm just saying we have this guy, we have the guy later on has a really important scene with Joey.
Sure.
So we kind of have like each guy, there's always like a horse whisperer of the group, and of course, like kind of fitting into the Albie role. So again, the brothers being separated here for that very, like, his good idea is what's going to separate him from his brother, which is kind of sad too. With like, again, it's like, he saves the horses' lives and vice versa. I'm like, darn it, no good deed goes unpunished. So now his brother's going to be put on the front lines, and he doesn't want to. His brother's young. His brother is younger than him, which is interesting because Albie, he wanted to enlist while he was young just to be with the horse. So again, direct. Excellent parallels, and again, I think the German brother thing does start really well.
That's the best thing that this subplot has going for is the parallels to the main plot. I think
that's what I'm saying. Again, like these that's the problem with vignettes. Where vignettes, for the most part, again, they're very cuttable. That's the thing. Even if you have the best vignette, and again, importantly, if they have payoff, then they necessitate themselves. This one, not much of a payoff, just good.
Yeah.
Of course, trying to honor the words of the mother and the father. Like the father's gonna be prideful during the war, but the mother's gonna be heartbroken if they get killed. All that sort of stuff here. And again, we're trying to the horses yet again symbolizing hope and survival. Where hey, we're gonna get on the horse and we're gonna break these guys out of Dodge. Yeah, desertion. Yeah, he rescues them from the line. Yeah. Or I should say, yeah, for the horse of it all.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Divine sisters of the Ya sisterhood.
Track 29. Yeah. Can I give you a shine?
Anyway. All right.
Okay, young Frankenstein aside here. Let's refocus up.
Yes.
There we go. There's the pen again. Symbolism.
Oh yeah.
And again, here's the thing. I forgot the guy's giving it to him for luck too, which adds to it even more so. Where it's the.
And you know what? One of the big things, another big thing that we have, is the whole idea of like pride in the war. And the little brother does have a lot of pride. He genuinely wants to go to war. He didn't ask to be saved. He's all eager. Like, we're going to meet each other. You'll bring the horses in the med. Basically, the horses are now serving as like a med bay of sorts. So you'll bring it there. We'll meet each other again. We'll be fine. I'll survive that long. It's not like they have machine guns or anything. But the older brother, he knows the danger, and so I feel like there's a little bit of a parallel between that and between Albert and the father, where the father really knows the significance of war, knows the loss of war, and Albert is kind of like the starry-eyed youth of it all.
I mean, he literally saw it changed over from all the people we just killed. So yeah, we're definitely in the thick of it
right, exactly. And so we really do get kind of like this nice parallel, and one of the things that I do really like, we'll get to it, but I want to just highlight it before we pass it over, is the line of, like, what's Dad going to think of us? Is Dad going to be ashamed? And maybe he might act that way. He might actually be ashamed, but in the end, he'll be glad. He'll be glad that he has you.
Which is a really great way.
Sorry, go ahead.
Which is a really great way of looking at it. You rarely have like scenes kind of framed like that. It's always about like, oh, father's gonna be ashamed of me, and then of course having the forwithal. Like at first he'll be ashamed, but then secretly he'll be happy you're alive. I mean, that's the big takeaway.
And so I what do you think of the horse rescue, Dragon? I'm kind of a fan of it.
Yeah, it's nice. That's what I'm saying. We kind of pulls him out of there from the lineup, and they're like, "Well, what are we gonna do? We took him out of the lineup." Like we're all thinking we're very strict in the rules.
Like the fact that he knows that the Germans can't really do anything about it. It's just like, or I'm sorry, not the Germans. He knows that the cavalry they can't really do anything about it. They're just like, wait, well, shit, we just have to keep moving.
Well, no, those were the Germans, Tiki.
Oh, they were. Okay,
they're the Germans. They're on the German. The point being, they're all on the. Anyway.
Gotcha.
You got it. No, you're okay. You're all good now. Okay, anyway, so now
I was doubting myself, Dragon. I'm sorry.
I know why you were. You were right. Okay, so we're in the windmill. I really like the windmill set, and again, we have a Don Quixote joke made later on, which is really fun. Like like who's gonna help me be the windmill? Like that sort of gag. It's like very Don Quixote.
But I was the willow.
Who's gonna help me be the windmill? So again, this is a great location to hide. And honestly, when we get to the windmill, it's like you kind of wish we cut the scene off there, but we're just kind of lingering. And again, it's a good it's a dicey scene because it's good, but it's like the kill your darlings philosophy of the editing room,
Yeah, but I mean, I don't necessarily think that that the movie drags though, and that's the important thing. Dragon, I'm gonna just freaking say it. I think that Munich drags a lot more than this movie does. I'm sorry.
I mean,
I'm
look,
sorry.
what bothers me, like the only reason I'm lingering on, because I think the movie again, Spielberg, I feel in the latter part of his film career, has really gotten really heavy on the run times. Munich being an example, he was really heavy, really long in the run times, and this movie so
but I mean, then he's got stuff like the BFP and Ready Player One. That's not too hefty on the runtime.
Oh, what I'm getting at is I think we have a movie like this, which is so kind of almost so perfectly just kind of like budgeted out time wise, but again, it's like. When you realize, like, there's like 9 minutes of credits, and if you don't just trim it up just a little bit, it'd be perfect. It's like so close to being perfect in terms of runtime. That's the thing that bugs me about it. When we have like those, it's like when you start the movie, you have those money shots of more. It's nothing but more. It's like that's the kind of stuff. Like if we just trim little bits here and there, it's like not a lot of time, just a little bit. It's I don't know. Anyway.
Right.
Okay, so now here's another commentary that the war has going on here, where it's like old commentary, and it's like you gotta wonder if the soldiers' resources could be better spent not hunting down deserters and draft dodgers in the grand scheme of war as a concept. It's like, do we really have to find all the deserters? Do we really have to like spend the manpower?
We do make a lot of emphasis on the deserters, Dragon.
Like these two guys, they ran away. We don't like this. Does it really matter? Do we have to focus on that? They ran away. Screw them. Like, okay, just don't help them out anymore. Just like it's like, guys, you're wasting bullets here. Okay, just let them go. Like, were you supposed to be somewhere right now? And you're tracking down guys to a windmill. What are you doing?
I mean, like I said, I think it just kind of like ultimately leads to that powerful act that powerful moment in the third act. So,
I mean, you're right. Look, I'm not saying they made the wrong call in showing this, Tiki. I'm just saying in general, desertion as a concept, it seems like desertion is kind of
hell. I mean, I think if anything, this whole act is maybe like a little bit too much foreshadowing. It's like maybe a little bit too on the nose of like we're going to connect this theme and this theme and this theme.
I've got an unfun fact for you.
Oh God. Okay.
Well, it's kind of sad. I don't want to say a fun fact. It's kind of morbid. So, I found out that firing squads actually they only one man has bullets in the gun when they shoot a firing squad. The rest of them have blanks. Now, in this case, they probably had two guys because they're shooting two guys.
I did know this. Yes, I don't know why I know this, but I did know this, and that is morbid.
I mean, I don't know if either this is like before the practice was in line, or it's just like they had two people, so like 2 out of the 4 guys have bullets, and then the rest is blanks. I don't know. So it's a little kind of morbid fun fact for the kids out there. Fun fact. We missed it, but we had a really impressive shot with like the little girl reflected, the light and everything reflected in Joey's eyes.
Yeah, that is a really good shot for sure.
Yeah.
And Joey's eyes, just in general, man, I mean, goddamn, this is a damn good horse actor. I mean, he really is. It
Again,
really
an
is just
Oscar
kind of getting down
nominated,
to the
Tiki.
Bojack of it all.
That's an Oscar-nominated horse.
Okay, I just want to clarify this, Dragon. What category was the horse nominated in?
Tiki. I don't mean the horse. I'm saying the movie, which is all about the horse, was nominated.
Okay, fine. When you say Oscar nominated, I thought you meant that, like, it was some sort of like technical thing that the horse was actually involved in. I don't know.
I mean, look, I don't know how you want. Maybe the effects got nominated as like kind of like a gimme with the rest. I mean, he was nominated for best Seabiscuit was nominated for best picture. Therefore, the movie being all about the horse.
I always forget, Dragon. I always forget that Seabiscuit is a best picture. Oh man,
that's what I'm saying. I'm saying Seabiscuit, which of course, call me crazy, is about Seabiscuit as well as the jockey is looking at the terms of this movie. Again, is very much the star of that movie. Therefore, the movie itself being Oscar nominated means the horse is Oscar nominated. That's what I'm getting at. Anyways, me being silly. So, we have our grandfather and Emily here. Bonnard, grandfather, and Emily. Bonnard is a really good actor here too. He's really good stuff. Again, the French actors in all French movies for the most part. Like he's not really recognized, but he's been in there. I think he's the Harry Potter actor, by the way.
Makes sense. Yeah,
I believe so. He's like in two. He's in the. I think it's the Deathly Hallows. Which one? Does the Deathly Hallows have two parts?
Yes.
Then that's the one he was in. Yeah.
Okay. So what do you think of these characters just in general? Because, like I said, if anything, it does kind of go on a little too long, but I do think that it very much is kind of like more the heart of the movie than the desertion plot is. I think
I agree with you. It really here's the thing. It dawned on me on the second watch because initially I was thinking, oh, this is so chuckable. Without until the payoff, it was so chuckable, and I'm still feeling that way. But I'm now seeing more of the point on the rewatch, where it's like the grandfather is the optimist who's trying to keep the granddaughter as far away from the war that presumably killed her parents as much as he can. Which again is we established. I completely forgot about the whole bone fragility of the girl, which means if she falls, which is why she can't ride. Any bump on the head, any fall could be death for her. So he's very protective of the girl. Again, this guy's all about the remembrance of the family, where she's like the last thing he has of his family. So he's very protective of her, and that's going to transfer into the third act with the thing that reminds him of the girl. It was a really gutsy move to kill the girl off screen because I was wondering on the rewatch, like, did I miss her like getting killed by the Germans by them pushing her or something? Like, did I miss that? Which that doesn't happen, but it's still pretty gutsy.
Mm-hmm.
Again, importantly, this scene kind of teaches Joey how to jump. That's a huge part of this scene too. That's the big thing he learns in this scene.
Very pivotal part of Joey's character arc, of course, as we've already established
and speculated with his namesake. Yes.
I like the fact that this girl is like really nice to the horse, but she's also like really sassy towards her grandpa, and she's also boy crazy, so she's not a perfect character by any means.
Sure. Actually, I gotta be honest. This dynamic reminded me a little bit of Killing Eve, which I've been watching recently. I'm all caught up on it, but it's like there's a wonderful dynamic in that show between Villanelle, again, kind of our Electra-like, kind of our Electra parody-like killer. And who can be very childish, and her handler, who is basically an old Russian guy, Constantine, and the two of them have this dynamic where again he has to parent her, and they rub each other wrong. She's always taking pot shots at him and getting on his nerves like an annoying child. It's hilarious. So it's I don't know. This is like the non-cynical version of that.
Sure.
Yeah.
I really this whole shot of Joey just like very, very slowly, just humbly walking over the beam. That's amazing.
Again, these are like the cutesy horse. These are the cutesy horse gags right here. Look at that.
Maybe I'm just softening in my old age. I don't know. This is the kind of shit that in my early 20s, when this movie came out, I probably would have rolled my eyes at. But now I'm like, that's adorable. Maybe Animal Crossing has done something to my brain. I don't know.
I think someone's done something to your brain. All right. Yep. Look at this. We have the old grandfather who's kind of like, look at this. She'll never teach him to jump. We're gonna be fine. She's not gonna ride that horse.
I'm pretty sure this guy plays the new Minister of Magic. in the Harry Potter movies. The second Minister of Magic.
Yeah, it's probably a recent character, I guess.
Yeah. I think I figured it out. All right, anyways.
You know, I'm going to quiz you on something, Tiki, because coming up is an old familiar face. I wonder if you caught it.
Oh no! Oh no! Oh god! Oh
and
god!
it's a
Okay,
it's a
now I'm
really
nervous.
you're going to be you should be able to spot him. And I'll be shocked if you didn't have any alarm bells or familiarity bells ringing about this guy.
Okay. Okay.
He's coming up. So, anyways, of course, like big moment here, where it's like, okay, you can't jump, get off the horse, you're going to kill yourself. Get any fall could cripple her or kill her. So, big moment. We got to hide the horses in a hurry here because the Germans are coming by. And again, as you saw in Avatar as well, again, many times soldiers roll into town, they take all the resources, a little bully-like.
Oh yeah, big time, big time.
Germans not mixing well with the French here. French farm, Pasha.
The ants find the food, the grasshoppers take the food.
Another example for you, but yeah. And again, honestly, the vibe I got, and again, I can't fully prove this, but you just look at the movie and the way it starts and everything with their war stuff, is that the Germans have an advantage with, like the conveyance of machinery and everything, where we have like motorcycles and we have more vehicles on the German side of things, where it's mostly horses on the English side, on the English side of things, where, it's, I'm not saying the English don't have vehicles, obviously, but it's with the weaponry and everything as a whole. I think that was the big thing with World War I, where the Germans were a little bit more advanced, and that's what gave them the advantage. And it really is the persistence of the British and everyone on the other side that really kind of pushed through that war.
Sure.
Here's our guy, Brandt, this guy.
Okay, which guy?
The lead guy with the cigar, the leader of all the stuff, the Germans here, the Brandt.
Guy with the cigar. Okay.
The guy with the cigar, and he's gonna be eating the jam later. That guy.
Okay.
So right now, it's kind of taken from the land here again, kind of like the old bully soldier mentality. I need resources for the war. We wasted them all as we were chasing these two windmill guys. Okay, guys sitting down here. This guy right in the foreground, like sitting down with the jam and everything.
Yeah, he looks familiar.
You're darn right, he's familiar.
I can't place him. Who is he? Who is he?
This actor is Rainer Bach. Any closer?
No. I can't say that rings a bell.
Okay. You ready for me to blow your mind?
Okay.
It's Werner Ziegler from Better Call Saul.
Werner Ziegler? Oh
it's
my
Werner!
God. Oh yeah, I can totally see it now. Yeah.
Werner!
Totally.
He's playing so against type. He's such a nice man in Better Call Saul, and here he's such a baseball kind of like.
I could just imagine the stage direction that he gave to Spielberg in this scene. Just like sit there and enjoy the jam and really enjoy the jam.
Yeah. I completely forgot about like the guy with the pot here. So, I was going to give you back later on. I was going to give you your pot back. I'm not going to do it now. I'm going to use it for soup. So he's really making it straightforward here. Like, hey, my daughter needs that. My granddaughter needs that mess. And you do anything against her, as old as I am, I will kill you. So he's really making his point. Really making a solid point. That's a brave old man right there. It's a Bonner is excellent.
Oh yeah.
Man. These are the kind of moments on the rewatch that really earn points back for it's like, there's a really compelling story there on the
farm. Sure.
And again, basically Brandt here, he's also kind of the cruel guy, giving the calling the shots when we eventually find our horses and they kind of fall back into the German hands. And so he's kind of the closest thing we have to an honest to God bad guy in the film. Where again the lines blur when we get to the third act, but he's the guy who's basically representing the cold callousness of the Germans within the World War I conflict, where they're the guys, again, we're all about the machinery of how things work, but not only physically, like how they're operating with tanks and everything a little ahead of the curve, but also just in the sense of like we don't have any attachments or nostalgia for things like horses. It's like we're not putting like an honor on the braggadocio of like we're riding horses in the battle. There's an honor, there's an ability, and that's right. No, we're just gonna burn something until the resources are done. We just abandon and take something else. We're gonna take away, and they're bullies.
Right. So big moment here, revealing what went down with her mother.
Yep. Again, bravery and courage being a running theme.
Oh, yeah.
I love that at the end of this scene, the two of them have grown really close, and that kind of propels him to give her the birthday gift that of the saddle.
Mhm.
This is a great thing here too. I love how we're attaching animals to the war, where we have the carrier pigeons, the French with the carrier pigeons, and basically the British with the horses, and vice versa. That's really it's really cool.
Yeah, good thematic tie for sure, for sure.
Yeah. The old Frenchman story quality of all this was really nice.
Mhm.
Also, just a little fun fact: Michael, the author of the book, Michael Morpurgo, he was on set during a lot of. I don't know if it was a lot of this scene, but throughout the movie, he was on set a bunch, and from what I understand, he had a good time.
Here we go. Here we go. This is man, this really is the heart of the movie, I think, this whole never looking down thing.
Yeah. You always have to
I
go
mean, it really
forward.
it really is the struggle. It really is the struggle that's emphasized. Like, like as we keep seeing in Act 2 and into Act 3 with the horse, it's just like, no, you literally cannot look down. Looking down is bad. Looking down is death. As he literally experiences firsthand in the third act.
Oh yeah.
All right, so big, nice gesture with the saddle. I really like how this whole thing kind of plays like a mini movie almost.
It does. It does.
But I don't necessarily think that's a bad thing because I feel like Act 1 also kind of plays like a mini movie. And like I said, Dragon, I feel like that to me is one of the things I like about the movie actually, is that it's kind of like three shorter narratives woven up into a longer narrative. And I think it's effective in that regard.
Something I should mention that's really clever with the narrative is that while we are taking a risk putting so much focus on our human characters versus the horse with moments like these, something really good is that with each pairing of characters, each time we have our horses are kind of parables for their characters. Where you have, once we introduce two horses into the fray, think about it. We have we have Tom Hiddleston, we have Benedict Cumberbatch, both the horses that reflect their personalities and kind of their worldviews, and again kind of represent the friendship and everything there, right?
Sure.
And then we have the brothers, which again, with our two horses, again, there's the friendship and the bond within the horses that reflects in their riders. Now we have this yet again, where we have like a bond here, where we have like the grandfather and the granddaughter. The point being, once Joey rides off, the young buck out of the two, the older horse follows to make sure he's okay, basically echoing the grandfather's thoughts. The point is, the horses take on the personality traits of their riders.
Yeah, well said, for sure.
Which is really interesting, and again, kind of a great thing within kind of the vignetted storytelling here. Where they're each, again, we're Joey is it's like the best version of all those crappy dog movies where it's like like a dog's purpose or whatnot. Like, the dog learns something from its master. Like no, like the animals. It's like the kind of
that's the thing. It's like this is totally like a boy and his dog movie for sure. But it's Spielberg, man, and it's Spielberg and it's World War I and it's epic, and so I mean this is not necessarily the most clean combination of different genres and different storytelling devices and everything. But for what it is, it's still great ingredients.
Sure. What I'm saying is, like, specifically, like, there's dog's purpose movies, like, it's all about the reincarnation of the dog thing. Is what I'm saying. Like, we kind of do that without, like, a stupid reincarnation cycle here, where it's like, okay, the dog, like, the animal in this case is, like, it's learning things as it goes along. That's
sure.
It's the old adage that a horse has an intuition about its rider. It can sense if someone's afraid of him. So it's kind of like the horse having a sixth sense for people as well. And I love this, that when he goes over that hillside and he sees, like, the girl and the horse being accosted by the German soldiers, that is his worst nightmare, because again, if she falls off that horse, she's a goner.
Oh yeah, great reveal there, by the way.
Absolute worst nightmare. And he's begging for please, you're breaking my granddaughter's heart. Let her keep the one horse. And like, again, this one time, like, just the cold chillingness of the performance here by Rainer Bach here, where it's like what's going to happen to the horse? Oh, we're going to use him to carry the artillery until they break, essentially, until they're useless to us. You're burning through whereas there's no the English showed care for the horse, so the Germans are burning through a resource, and he just says it with such chilling certainty. The war will never be over. Then you have your answer. Then it's like, oh, that's so this chilling certainty of the German soldier. There's like, then you have your answer. Then why'd you bother asking? Oh, it's so sad. And the girl's heart breaks.
This is the last time that we see these two until the this is the last time we see the girl, right? And the
she dies off screen.
The grandpa until the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Is that where you would pinpoint the end of Act 2, Dragon?
Well, I mean,
or would you pinpoint the end of Act 2 as the death of the Black Horse?
I think Top Thorn's death is probably the end of Act 2.
Okay.
Because we yet again, if Act 2 is all about the pairings that Joey makes, all like the new friendships and everything that he makes, Joey becomes solo again in Act 3, very much like Act 1. Well, you know what I mean, when he gets reunited with, he goes back to the original pairing, but again, it's a journey getting there. That whole thing. So the point being, that would probably be when he's back to being solo again in his adventure. So this guy, our friendly German horse whisperer guy, Private Heigelman. Oh man, Private Heigelman's a nice man.
Yes, and again, Dragon, I can't stress enough. One of the good things about this movie is the fact that it shows the camaraderie and the brotherhood on both sides of the war. It kind of gives me a vibe of like what Clint Eastwood did with Flags of Our Fathers and then Letters of Iwo Jima, except put it into the same movie.
Sure. And again, as you said, it's from the horse's perspective, which again adds a little bit to the innocence. Where again, maybe that's intentional or not. I can't speak to that. Again, it comes across.
I'm pretty sure it's intentional.
Sure. But again, importantly though, again, like also we're killing horses off screen here, which again is like pretty startling. Also, by the way, horrible, not a fun fact at all here, tragic fact. So in the actual war, in World War One, I'm not going to quote you an exact figure, but millions of horses died in World War One. At least 1 million per side. I mean, the estimated amount is 10 million horses died in World War One. So I mean, that's an estimated amount, but at least 1 million per side. So let's say at least, definitely 3 million.
Yeah.
Just sad. And again, you kind of see like the horses being worked to death and all over this scene, man. It's just crazy.
Yeah, and this is really where the movie kind of, up until now, the environments that Joey has been in have been very welcoming. And this is, even though he's under the care of someone who still cares for him, it's a more abrasive atmosphere. And it's really kind of slowly building the menace of the movie as we go along here.
And again, I love Heigelman. So he just shows up for like this one, like essentially 2 scenes in the movie. But again, they're 2 really good scenes where Heigelman here he has such a soul about it, such a gentleness and a soul. Again, we're seeing such humanity of the soul. What he says, his first line is like, "You're beautiful. Pity they found you." It's like, again, the whole story about a horse is being found by people. That's his whole arc. It's a great line for that character to have and showing such compassion. And I love that he's trying to save Top Thorn. He named him Prince. Like, oh, you should never name something you know is not going to be around. It's like, oh god, he's naming the horse. Is like, and again, Joey here, while being a freaking horse, he does something. He shows the courage of a soldier, man. He was a trained English soldier. He does a very brave act as a prisoner of war here. He takes Top Thorn's spot here. So like he saves Top Thorn's life, he thinks, by leading the charge here, man. Like again, they're hauling these giant tanks. Again, this is before we get to World War II, like the tanks you can drive. These are the tanks you gotta lug everywhere.
And again, Dragon, this is a freaking horse. A freaking horse that's just literally the main performer of the whole second act.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. It's
it's kind of mind blowing when you break it down like that.
I mean, when you just look at these shots here. This horse in all these shots, like he's breathing through his nose and everything. You see like the mist coming out of there and everything. Look at the sheer acting this horse. Again, this is an Oscar-winning horse right now. This is an Oscar-nominated horse, I should say, given this performance. Where I mean, again, for Spielberg to be able to get again, the horse is going to make his own choices. Obviously, that's going to be really. It's almost like directing Brando, but a horse, only more manageable.
Right,
Brando,
right.
You're going to get what you're going to get with Brando, and you're going to maybe guide him a little bit. Where the horse, like literally, it's a wild animal, and it's just given a very controlled performance here. I don't know how many takes it took. I know it's a well-trained horse.
I don't know who's the more wild animal, the horse or Brando. Brando.
I mean, honestly, it's Brando. Let's be honest. It's got to be Brando. I mean, Brando doesn't listen to the direction. He just does what his fancy. Like, he added, well, you saw the documentary. You know what he did to that poor guy. He exchanged him for the smallest man in the world. You know, that whole,
Oh, God.
that whole thing.
Right.
The Lost Souls documentary for the kids out there.
Ooh. That's not the only compelling documentary that Brando was a part of either.
I know. There's anyway. Apocalypse Now and everything. And also his own documentary too. Like the last Brando actually got turned into a Jarrell. I know now. Okay, we're getting off track. We're talking about Brando now. We gotta circle back.
So we talked about this a little bit in Saving Private Ryan, Dragon, but I feel like Spielberg, he recycles the trick that he does in Saving Private Ryan of really kind of giving the villainous weight to an inanimate object. But I feel like in this, instead of the tanks, which are on the good guy's side, we really get the feeling of the machine guns.
Yes, we do. I love the transition of the tank shell basically goes over there, and then we like where it lands is like the big reveal of the whole movie. Like, oh my God, Albie's back, and he's in the war.
Mm-hmm.
Now 2 years go by.
Yeah, this is definitely a flash forward here. Yeah,
maybe 4. I don't know. Maybe it's 4 years. The point being, this is the end of the war. We're at the end of the war right now, or at least the days leading up to the end of the war. We're 19.
And this is where we're really getting into the Saving Private Ryan of it all, Dragon, because all the chaos happening. I mean, this isn't quite 1917, because 1917, I will admit, it is the king of filming trench warfare.
Yeah,
but man, it's close. I mean, I love all the explosions going on, all the chaos in the background.
Yep. So let's see. So this is I want to say this is the second thing they shot. So what they did is so they didn't pull any punches with you can't have a World War I movie without trenches. That's it's a rule of law. You can't do World War I without trenches. So we show No Man's Land. No Man's Land, of course. If we learn anything from Wonder Woman, we learn No Man's Land is where all the action happens.
Oh yeah.
So this was shot in a just very flat airfield. They shot in Wisley Airfield in England. They shot the whole thing in England, by the way, where Rick Carter, Spielberg's set guy, he basically redressed the whole thing. I assume what he did here is that basically in building the trench, he built like this giant stage platform that kind of rises up. So basically, they're all climbing up the ladder to and everything. I imagine that's like they filled the mounds with dirt and everything. And they built the whole kind of upper level to the flat surface. I assume that's what he did with this. He built the whole trench in this giant airfield. Crazy, all very practical and just like freshly dug up. I know it kind of obviously it's a trench. I mean, it's a trench, man. Look at that. That's like the trench. Yeah. So again, basically, this is what I'm talking about, the Keeble here. So again, Colin here, again, he's a little snotty at start here. But again, snotty, I think the implication being he was probably drafted first. Maybe he's a little older than Albie. He was the guy who the war has hardened him more. Again, he's not like the gentle horse. He's looking back on the old things of Act 1, like, oh, that was ridiculous stuff you did back then. The horse. Yeah. You couldn't even jump with that horse. Yeah, you try to impress the girls. I don't even remember that girl, man. Grow up, your little sentimental horse story. I don't care about that.
I do think it works, though, Dragon. I think it works in terms of like you really feel the impact of the passage of time there, because and that's what I like about this movie in general is just kind of like the sweeping nature of it. We really do these characters, even though it really does boil down to the boy and the horse at the end of the day. Those are the two pivotal roles. But these characters kind of orbiting around the rest of the story, they all do kind of get really fleshed out and humanized in their own way.
Yeah. Also, again, I love on the rewatch, especially like Colin. Oh my God, Colin was the guy who saved the horse. Because you got a minute, but on all the chaos of World War I, all the helmets and everything. Yeah, after a while, at least in the first watch, it's gonna be hard to make out certain people. Because again, there's a lot of mud and chaos. But then you realize, like, oh my God. It's him, the guy who's denouncing the boy and his horse story, is actually involved himself within the boy and the horse story. Nice.
Right.
Okay, I think this. I'm just gonna criticize, the battle procedure of World War I here for a second. Okay, this guy's crazy. The leading soldier here, this guy saying if the it's less about. I mean, I guess he's talking more about desertion.
He
but
is
seriously,
crazy, but what I love about it though is it really fucks up this poor kid, man. It really does. I mean, it traumatizes him. Just the whole idea of like, oh my god, if I see someone desert, I have to kill them. I have to. Oh my god.
See what
Feeling
happened
my
here
own side.
is Andrew is the guy who later on he's going to be all shaken in the field, but he's shaken especially because of this guy saying, "You can't desert, you can't desert." Therefore, he's the one who forces him to go out onto that battlefield. He's not prepared to go out.
Right.
But that's the thing. He's but seriously, it's like honestly, what's happening here is okay. Cannon fire and all sorts of fires coming down. I'm going to back up a little. Screw that guy. I'm not staying there. That's what I'm saying. I'm not going to, maybe not, look, again, I would never cut a day in this situation. I'll make that perfectly clear right now. What I'm saying though, is like, again, if I'm a soldier in this situation, like, okay, look, I'm going to back up a little. I'm not just going to stand there like a chump. Okay. Maybe I'm not going to run away like the guy's expecting everyone to, like shoot them in the back if they come back. Like, no, maybe they need to like avoid the gunfire and everything so they can survive and outlast the war. Maybe.
Yeah,
I don't know. Anyway. Like the only place it's safe in the trench remotely?
Dragon, I'm wondering, is the bagpipe thing a historical, like, is that historically accurate, the fact that they would just randomly have a bagpipe player on the battlefield?
I'm pretty sure it's accurate. I don't know if like they would necessarily run into they were there, and I think that they were there. If they're going out on the battlefield, it's purely a ceremonial thing, but it sounds like it'd be in real life, so I know they were there. So, by the way, now again, this is the thing, Tiki. Like, I'm filling the blanks here, but wouldn't it make sense that after World War I, the reason in World War II for the soldiers getting ready, they're climbing under barbed wire and through the mud is because of what they learned in World War I? Like, you imagine that would be the case, right? Like, after all this stuff happens in no man's land, we prepare soldiers for this going forward.
Sure.
So, I never thought of that before seeing, like yet again re-examining World War I. Like, yeah, I guess that would make sense. They want to take all the things that they kind of did. They kind of learned the hard way, and they would apply it going forward. So Spielberg applying some of his Private Ryan stuff here with a little handheld camera into the chaos of no man's land, which again, it's a little bit more psychologically boxed in than World War II. World War II is chaos everywhere, sure. It's like it's like saying Private Ryan, like the minute the thing goes down and you're in Normandy, it's like gunshots, like your front guys are dead. They drew the short straw, they're dead. In this case, it's almost like the most lethal game of capture the flag ever conceived. You have the base, you have the home, you have like the safe home area, and then you have just the battlefield. And again, if you can stay in the cut, or you can go out there. Oh, this is a haunting shot right here. Look at this here, like the barricades with the dead soldiers who've been shot.
No, for sure.
That's haunting.
Now, Dragon, I will point out that this movie is PG-13. It is a PG-13, war movie, but I don't know. It's got teeth to it, man. It really does.
It does. Minimal blood, but a lot of teeth.
Yeah.
Also, a little fun fact. Well, it's not a fun fact. It's kind of a scary fact.
That keeps tripping you up this podcast, Dragon.
I'm sorry, because again, I just realized like these aren't fun facts. These are really horrifying facts. Spielberg, he almost drowned in the mud during some of this.
Oh wow.
Yeah, the crew had to save his bacon. I was going to say, I assume it was this thing because of all the mud for the trench. I mean, it was either this or maybe some during the rain, but I imagine it would have to be this. Look at all the chaos here and him running with a steady cam. He's got to be, anyway. So, yeah, he almost drowned in the mud. There are about 5,800 extras in this scene. That's a lot of extras. That's a craft service nightmare right there.
Oh, yeah.
Oh boy, this is a trippy thing you rarely ever see in the World War I movies, where they make it to the other side. And again, this is what I'm talking about, like the whole the lethal catch of the flag game. You've made it to the other side. No one dares go this far. And it's the realization, like, well, what do we do now? We're on the other side now. Like,
right.
I love the gas mask on the German soldiers. I like that.
It's so creepy. It's
creepy. It's great.
The fact that it's got the gun pointed right at him, and he has to like swat the gun down just to make sure.
Like all the soldiers there are wearing gas masks, which also, by the way, is like a little tip off for what happens to poor Andrew here. Why are they wearing gas masks?
Oh yeah.
They're preparing for something that's supposed to be on its way. That's
the words of Mr. Wynn. Very creepy. Very creepy.
Yes, very creepy. And again, this is what's horrifying here about Andrew. Like Andrew's last words.
It is, man. It really is.
Albie. It's like the most vulnerable British kid. Like Albie.
I mean, I'll be honest with you. It's some haunting shit, dude.
It is. That's what I'm saying.
It's kind of like life flashing before your eyes kind of shit.
Oh, yeah. He almost shoots his buddy here, too, and it really freaks him out. Again, we have like one Albie, and then we're going to have the horrifying Albie that follows this.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess
this
is
deeper into the movie.
I guess this is fair that we have, we've seen, we're paralleling this with, we're seeing Albie's horror that he's going through right now, and then we're gonna, reflect it in the other side of our duo here with Joey going through said horror from a horse's perspective.
Right.
Andrew, this way out, and then he's a goner. The minute someone yells gas, you're gonna like, oh god, I wish I had a gas mask right now. It's like.
And this is where the movie really has me, Dragon, is when we look at that fucking fade to white. You don't often see that. You don't often it's always a fade to black.
We don't see the kid again until the third act, until the big. Well,
I know. So I really do appreciate that, especially in a first act. How it really is a mystery, like how the fate of the kid is really up in the air.
Yeah, and he's kind of blinded by that. So this is really tricky. Look at this right now. This is acting with the horse here. Where imagine how difficult it is not only to get a performance out of the horse to really look haggard and looks like he's been through heck, but also, also with both horses as well. But with like Top Thorn here, I guess as well, to put makeup on a horse because they gotta put that prosthetic. They can't hurt the horses, so they have a prosthetic cut, and they gotta make them. I
gotta admit, Dragon, the horse wounds in this movie are difficult to watch. Really,
that's what I'm saying. That has to be applied, and they also gotta look at how mud covered Joey is. I mean, he's far darker than he's in the whole movie within the scene onward, going into the trench and everything.
Sure.
And this is just tragic. Here's where is our big kind of.
Here we go. This is the big low of lows. This is the death of ET right here, man.
The death of he doesn't come back though, so
No, I know, but still, you know what I mean. It's it's the classic Spielbergian low of lows.
So they shot the horses 3 ways. So
stand up. You got to stand up.
Because he knows, oh, come on, man, get up. I don't want to see the horse dead. But if they catch him lying down, they're going to have to shoot that horse in the head too. That's why he's really worried. So right now you're seeing, I'm pretty sure, animatronic horse.
Okay, that makes sense. Makes sense.
They did 3 things when they shot the horses because you have real horse, you have animatronic, mainly in the next scene, in the barbed wire scene. That's all animatronic horse because obviously you're not going to put a horse in.
I'm not surprised. Yeah, Jesus.
I can only speculate about how close it is. There's good horse acting, then there's Oscar-winning horse acting, and that's what I'm saying. With how the horse's death scene going this smoothly, I don't think that's feasible. I mean, that's got to be animatronic. I mean, come on. And then again, we have 3 CG shots for Joey during the big jump scene. So that's all. Again, it's as practical as it's going to get. That's a Nolan horse movie, man. It's Spielberg doing a Nolan horse movie.
Oh man! Now that you bring it up, a Nolan horse movie would be good. I don't know how you would do it, but
yep.
Run, Joey, run!
Okay, it's like a run, Barry, run.
Well, you know what? Now that you bring it up, this movie does have a couple Forrest Gump qualities to it. It really is kind of it's Forrest Gump with a horse experiencing kind of the greatest hits of World War I in a way.
Yep.
All right, and here we have the Saving Private Ryan kind of monsterizing the tanks, kind of, anthropomorphizing them. And
we had the Jaws tank in Saving Private Ryan. Here, not exactly Jaws.
It's Spielberg.
Intimidating,
but it's like a Velociraptor, Dragon.
Yeah,
it's quicker. It's it might not be as insurmountable as the one in Private Ryan, but it's intimidating nonetheless because of how because it's it's a little bit more mobile.
And again, what's really great about this too is I love that we have the horse, we have Joey and Albert on the same battlefield because basically we put the horse right right outside no man's land. He's about to cross over into to get away from this thing. You know, we have really nice cut as he's running away as we're getting the dusk right into the dead of night, which brings him into that horrific kind of in silhouette. You know, it's like the whole right now we're night. See what I mean? Like just been running straight into the night now. Now we're getting some of these CG shots of the horse. Basically, this is probably. Some of this is real, but then once we get to the jump, it's all CG. But for the safety,
jump is definitely CG.
Yeah, I know. Sure. I'm saying when he's running along the side, that might have been real against the green screen.
It's good looking CG though, man. It really is. Even though you know it has to be CG, it's still convincing.
And you gotta remember, it's not that they were unwilling to maybe try it with the jump. It's that for the horse's safety, they can't do that. It's like
of course,
get Pete up in arms. You know, it's like you got to do it CG for the safety, and basically, if they did, they had to make it a much shorter jump, I'm sure, if they want to do it practically. It wouldn't be as impressive. Because we saw how Joey in real life, does his jump. He just walks over it, So right now, basically the horse, again, this is really fitting too. Kind of like Wonder Woman, again, Wonder Woman, the woman in no man's land, the horse who is not a man.
Oh, here we go, Dragon. Here we go. You gotta jump, Joey. You gotta jump. You gotta jump, for God's sakes.
Again, this poor horse, man. It's like, not War Horse, it's Poor Horse,
this is hard to watch.
This is where we retitle the film into Poor Horse. Like, oh, that poor horse.
Poor horse. Poor horse. Same thing.
Oh, imagine that's a CG shot to the tumble over.
Yeah.
And all this is this is probably a mix. Here's what they did. So when the horse is real during this, it's rubber barbed wire. So the horse isn't in any danger. It's rubber prop barbed wire. So some of this is probably a mixture of that and animatronic. I'm sure some of the writhing is animatronic.
Right.
Like this, right here has got to be animatronic. Like all this stuff right there. But then again, it can be so convincing. Maybe it is the horse doing some Oscar acting. I don't know.
Man, I mean, just harrowing stuff. It's got to be one of the most harrowing. See, like I said, Dragon, in my first rewatch, in my first watch of the movie, I was so invested into it at that point in the film that I was just literally shouting at my screen, like, "You gotta jump, Joey!"
Yeah. And again, you see what I mean, though. It's kind of like the Awesome Moon and Wonder Woman, where again we have the non-man entity on the field for a really big important moment of the movie. So the horse, who is neither man nor German, if you will, is Englishman or German.
Sure. God.
Sure. So again, this is my favorite scene in the whole film. This to me is the whole reason to make the movie. This thing, 'cause you know how much I love the Christmas ceasefire. You know how much I love that story.
Yes. This has got to be the best scene in the movie, I think. I agree with you.
This is, again, I love it on the rewatch. I love that it was Keeble doing this. Oh, God, that guy really came around. It's a great arc. And we saw a really humanized, kind of German character, which we built upon with the other German character, with, Engelman. So again, the whole film's been building up to this moment. Again, you don't call this movie War Horse without this scene.
Sure.
Otherwise, it's just happened to be set War Horse. This is war. He is literally in the middle of. I gotta
say, I fucking love the German soldiers calling the horse too, and that's just pure Spielberg right there.
It is
the Germans and the British competing for the horse. I love that.
I love the idea of civility during war times, which is kind of what the whole story's been kind of circling around, people not knowing how gruesome this thing's going to get, and ultimately revealing that we are. Their civility, we don't need to hate each other for the war. War at its core is a disagreement. It's not like hatred. You don't need to be brutal. You don't need holocausts or anything as we get into deeper wars. We don't need for it to be ongoing for years and years and years. It's a disagreement that needs to be solved. Sometimes needs to be solved, with kind of a big stick sort of thing. That's what a war is. At least that's what a war should be in its purest sense. War shouldn't be dragged out and trophies and everything being taken. That's psychotic. This is civil.
Sure. Good. Well said.
And again, Peter and Colin here. This is an odd couple you want to see. These two guys get an apartment or something after the war and see how they sort things out. That's what you want to see here. And again, the two of them, basically Colin here eating his words and his attitude towards Albert, being all kind of prickish earlier on, seeing Albert's play, oh yeah, you joined the war, look for your horse. It's a fool's errand. You'll never find it. Of course, what does he do? He finds the horse, and he knows it's the horse too. And I love the scariness. I love. This is the most beautiful No Man's Land stuff. You never see No Man's Land like this. It's like the dawn of the battle before the first gunshot rings out, where it's like the scariness of an empty No Man's Land. It's eerie, man. Where it's like all the gunfire and the chaos is stopped, and it's just these two guys talking. It's such a brilliant idea. I love this conversation. It's so pleasant, and it's so like, and like they're trying to warm up to each other. Like, like ultimately, like, don't call me. Hey, my name's not Fritz. It's Peter. It's like they're men. They're humans. They're humans behind the gunfire and death.
I think my favorite bit in this whole scene is when he calls out like, "We need more wire cutters,"
and they all just toss the wire cutters and they fall in the water. Yeah,
again, classic Spielberg, Dragon,
yes.
Classic Spielberg.
Yes, and they get all this animatronic horse too, where they're trying to cut him free here, and that's all animatronic.
Oh man, and just like, no, it's got to be an animatronic. That doesn't take away from the fact that you feel the horses.
I know, right?
Jesus
yeah.
Christ,
I didn't even honestly when I was watching this for the first time before I did the research, I had no idea it was an animatronic horse. I mean, I should have figured it out.
Oh, I figured it. I figured it had to have been, just because there's no way they would have actually put like a real horse in that.
I mean, I assumed puppet, but animatronic is like, oh, that's the logical. Yeah, that would be the high grade puppet. Yeah, they would use an animatronic. I don't know why I didn't fill in the blanks for being an animatronic.
Sure.
Oh, this is great. I love this cutesy gag. You speak good English. I speak English well.
Right.
Yeah. And again, like, war doesn't have to be ugly. It's kind of like the whole point of the thing here too. I love like so many bits in this scene. I really do love like the whole, like the talking about like the girls and everything. Like they're talking about like, hey, how's your side over there? Well, it's like we're having we're having a fun day over there, and like, oh yeah, we have rats. We have rats. We can send rats over your way too if you're hungry or something. We have plenty of rats. We'll lend them over to you. Like, oh yeah, our girls eat rats. That sort of thing. Our girls aren't scared of rats or something. It's a charming little scene overall, and I love that it took an animal to have these men realize they don't have to act like animals. That's what's kind of brilliant about all of this too. And the whole point of the film with something like this, the war horse is kind of the olive branch between the two for a moment, for a little half-hour ceasefire. It's getting very Christmas trucey, man. Oh god, I think it's one of the coolest things.
You love the Christmas.
The Christmas truce is one of the best things in American history. Seriously, it's like one of the best moments in American history.
I know you love it. You geek out about it.
I know. I'm sorry. I'm geeking out. I think.
No, it's all good. By all means, geek away. This is the podcast for geeking out about history, Dragon.
The idea of civility between the factions. I love how the scene ends here, where he's saying hey, watch out, watch your head, keep your head down, because I might aim for it. It's like, I don't want to kill you, but you know what? I mean, we're shooting at each other. I don't know I don't know where my bullet's going, man. Just be careful.
Right.
It's like a little reminder of your handsome friend from Dusseldorf. Like, yes, these guys, it's like the ultimate bromance between enemies here. It's awesome. And again, like the old, figuring out who the horse is going to go to.
I love that it comes down to a coin flip, Dragon. That just, for some reason, that just feels like it fits right in line with the rest of the movie. Like, of course, it would come down to a coin flip.
Certainly, because I love the whole idea. Like, you want to fight about it. It's like, no, I'm not gonna. Like, that would start a war, which of course they're already in. So it's kind of funny. It's like, no, we're gonna get shot down if I punch you right now.
Right.
There's a love like the whole Kaiser on the coin adage of like, it's my Kaiser on my coin. Yeah, he's smiling on me with disappointment. Yeah, the arbitration. Good stuff. Plus, we're suckers for pleasantries, so this scene's definitely up our alley too. I mean, let's be honest.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the enemy isn't inhuman at the end of the day. On both sides, the enemy is not just like, they're not their flag. They're more than just their flags. They're more than it's like, look at the pennant, for example. I know it's not in the scene because the idea that the Frenchman has the grandfather has it, but the point being, again, it's not so much about what's on the flag as the fact that it gets the story behind the flag being the horse as well. Like, it's about the journey it's taken from point A to point B.
Sure.
He doesn't look pleased with me. And also keeping the wire cutters too. Like, hey, keep the wire cutters to remember me by.
All right, really charming stuff right here.
Absolutely.
Really charming stuff.
So now we're building up the big reunion between the boy
we
and the
really
horse.
get into the American tale of it all, Dragon. It becomes kind of like a 20-minute American tale short film at the end of it.
And it gets really tense too, because the doctor of all people is like, "Yeah, we gotta shoot the horse."
Jesus Christ! I forgot that it was the doctor.
Yeah, he's
right.
not the. Yeah, I made sure on the rewatch. No, he's not. He's not like the psychotic commanding sergeant guy in the trenches. No, it's the doctor.
Right.
Who is from Game of Thrones, by the way, which I have no idea who in Game of Thrones is. No, he's from Game of Thrones. Because everyone, their mother's from Game of Thrones in Hollywood. Let's be honest.
That's a fact, Dragon. That's a fact. Right
I mean,
there.
pretty much.
Exaggeration.
I mean, Iron Fist is from Game of Thrones. Everyone's from Game of Thrones.
Oh God, is he really? Oh,
you didn't know this? Yeah, he's Finn.
Oh,
Jones.
I'm sure you told me before in the past, but yeah.
So again, we have the big return. Basically, I love like the mythology that builds around. Like he's called the Miracle Horse, and the word gets out, which is why we have kind of a big third act twist that comes up. Moments. I love this. The idea is that he was that Albie was blinded by the gas or something, so he can't see at the moment.
Yeah, that's such a good.
And he moved just past him. There's your American Tail moment, right?
Yeah,
there.
that's exactly the American Tail moment. Absolutely, that's absolutely the American Tail moment for sure. No question.
You know, I just noticed something. It looks like I think Andrew's alive. Oh man, I forgot about that. Yeah, that's Andrew right there, isn't it?
I think so.
Yeah, okay,
yeah,
good.
Yeah.
Hey, he lived. There's not death for a change. There we go. He's alive. He's alive. Okay. It's a big moment here. Again, returning the horse. Again, it commands the respect of all the soldiers now. And again, we're now we're patching up the wounded. Basically, they're taking full advantage of the ceasefire here for like the half hour. I imagine what's happening is I like to think, because I really like to think that this was like maybe like the last peaceful night and the things worked out this nicely in real life. Obviously, I know it's probably like complete opposite of what happened. I'm just going to go with it. That took a half-hour ceasefire. They called it a night, and then the next morning, we're out of the war. How nice an ending would that? How nice a button would that be to put on the whole of World War I? That a horse kind of calmed things down. Obviously, it didn't happen in real life, but you know what I mean. Like a horse just kind of broke up the tension, and things just ended the next day. That's a nice ending, if you ask me.
It'd be nice, yeah. Nice gesture.
Why can't real life be that whimsical?
All right, so yeah, this doctor really is kind of a son of a bitch at the end of the day.
And I love.
To be fair, he's not a veterinarian. He does have a good point. He's got a room full of people that are, it's like he's not invested in this horse in the same way that we are.
He's the one guy in the movie. Even our previous naysayer, Colin here. Again, Colin's championed the horse because he saved the horse and he has big bonding experience with Peter, the German guy. And now what we're doing is like, even the biggest naysayers say like, no, the horse we got to shoot the horse, man. He's a fellow soldier. It's like the only guy who's in the movie, the doctor, basically saying we've been saying there the whole week, it's a freaking horse, is saying, well, yeah, it's a freaking horse. I'm not going to treat a freaking horse. What are you talking about? Like, he's
right,
a horse.
Right.
Basically, he's arguing the oldest thing in horse racing, Tiki. It's the oldest thing where horse with a bum leg, you got to put it out of its misery, which is tragic, but true. And again, he's not a monster for thinking that way. But again, like what he doesn't know is like this is like the miracle horse, man. You can't shoot the miracle horse in the head.
Totally.
Okay, so this guy with the gun, Eddie Marson. You remember this guy? Ring any bells?
Eddie Marsden. That name sounds totally familiar. I don't know why.
You've seen him in a lot of things. He's one of those actors.
Tell me what he's in, man. I know I've seen him before.
Okay, he's been in Hancock. He's been in Sherlock Holmes. He played LeStrade in the Sherlock Holmes movies with Danny Jr.
God, why can't I think of him?
He's in Ray Donovan. Here's one thing I know you've seen him in. Deadpool 2. He is he's the guy who mistreats Russell. He's the guy who leads the whole
oh, sure.
That
Yeah,
guy.
of course. Yeah. All right.
My point. The point being, he's in a lot of things. I'm saying those are like 4 examples that popped in mind. He's really big on Ray Donovan. He plays Liv Schreiber's brother in that show. Who's a boxer. My point is he's a good actor. Pops up in a lot of things.
Mm-hmm.
And again, he's a really great role here. He's almost like a bullet to the story, if you will. He's kind of.
I don't know, Dragon. I'm sorry. I don't mean to interrupt, but this is a big substantial moment here, and In this moment, I don't know about you, but I really was convinced that we were going to get like a tragic ending, and it's definitely a saved by a whistle sort of, saved by the bell kind of moment here,
The
Dragon.
only
We
moment I
really,
was sure of going into this movie is that we were going to see that horse jump over trenches. That was the only sure thing. Once we saw that, I was like, okay, the jury's
Sure,
out. I don't know how
sure.
this movie's going to end. I have no idea. All I know is we're going to see that horse jump trenches. I assumed he was going to run home. I was wrong about a lot of things. So, but again,
I mean,
bring it all
that would be
full
like
circle.
really fucked up and tragic if it ended that way, like with them so close to each other.
Spielberg with his arms folded. You thought I was going to make a sentimental movie, did you, critics? Huh? Killed that horse good. Make glue out of him. That's what I did. That's how I ended that movie. Yep. Just ended at a glue factory. That's the dark
Oh,
version.
Jesus Christ!
That's the alternate ending for Warhorse. That would have got a lot of angry letters.
Wow,
And traumatized
yeah.
kids for decades.
You know what, Dragon? Let's talk about the traumatizing kids factor. I'm glad you bring that term up because I that is one of the controversies I have seen about this film is the fact that this is a very tonally like, and as you know, I'm one of those people that's usually like against movies that have a confused tone. The reason I'm not against it here in particular is because of the fact that each act feels so distinctly different from one another. But I can see the situation where, where you would bring a kid into this movie, like a 10-year-old girl who's obsessed with horses. This is not a movie that a 10-year-old girl, I think, would walk away from untraumatized. I mean, she might like it at the end of the day. She might be compelled by it. But goddamn, it'd be a rough sit, especially that barbed wire scene for a kid to go through.
Yet oddly enough, Spielberg kind of made the movie for that 10-year-old girl, which is really weird.
Yeah, right.
That's the thing, because he made it exactly for that audience. But again,
but what do you think, Dragon? What do you think? Is it too dark for a young audience?
You know what? I feel. I mean, it's not a. That barbed wire scene is a really dramatically investing scene, but that's kind of the point, though. Where again, it's like we shouldn't shy away from certain things. The movie's not gory or bloody in certain respects. Not like it's like, I mean, maybe in the war aspect a little bit, but by the same token, it's kind of history. History is gritty, so it's more historical than it is just kind of gratuitous in that regard. So I feel like I think I think it's supposed to be like one of those kind of almost like famous film moments where like, oh god, you're really shocked at like to your core, like Jaws, for example. Jaws, we eat kids, but again, it's something that every kid like
sure.
It might be terrifying for them. It's kind of like a rite of passage movie for them, where it's not R-rated, but by the same token, it's it's scary because it's a shark. You're going into a war horse. War isn't supposed to be like a happy frolicking movie. It's supposed to be war.
Of course.
Showing kids that war can be scary in history as we don't want war to happen. This is what happens when it does. The poor horse is going to be put through heck, but he's going to come out the other side if he's lucky.
Well said.
So yeah, this is beautiful. I love the beautiful kind of like the proving that the kid knew exactly what he was talking about here. Like blindfolded, he knew it was his horse, man. We proved it to that doctor, man. It was awesome.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to patch him up the best I can. Like it's beautiful. Like, yeah, with the whole again.
I do think the doctor kind of has a little bit of a change of heart.
Well, he does. That's the point. Like he was proven wrong. He's like he was the one who like put the.
I know, but I'm just saying like he has a change of heart in regards to like, like it's still not a particularly useful animal, even if the boy raised it. I don't know. Do you think because this guy was ready to kill this animal?
But again, out of mercy, though, it wasn't like gonna kill it for the.
Sure.
Like, still, it was very intentionally a mercy killing. It wasn't like cruel to the animals. Like I have real patience, and this is it's like if you hit a deer with a car or something. It's like, oh god.
All right, I don't know why I'm questioning it. You're right.
Point being, though, again, is the beautiful moment. Again, we're continuing to show the theme of hope within the wartime. Again, this is why the horse was important. It was a miracle of hope, and like we can get along with the enemy for a second. And also the hope that we can get out of this thing alive in the next day after we spare the horse's life. The war's over. I mean, look, is it a little impractical in real life? Again, it's not a very biography based film here. It's not a biopic by any stretch. Okay, we're basing it off a book written essentially for children. Essentially. So I mean, look, I really like the way things turn out in that regard. It's really, really nice.
Sure.
So now we have So yes, we have Sergeant Fries. I want to go back to Eddie Marsan here again. I love what he does with this character. Really, almost like a Bullock-like character for the war. Like the guy he's a little bit of a tough guy. You know, he's definitely he's speaking firmly. But you know what? The guy's got a heart. Like he saw. Like, he was the guy who was tasked with putting that horse down, man. But he didn't want to do it. He was going to follow an order. Like, you know, not for a moment do you doubt he was not going to pull that trigger under the order.
Yeah.
But still, again, the guy's shown so much heart for the horse. Like I love basically the whole army's adopted the horse in a sense of like we want to see. I just love that they have the whole army backing the reunion. Like, why can't we just give the horse to the kid? Why can't we just do it? Why do we gotta go back to this full circle auction?
It is kind of a dramatic rigmarole we have to go through, Dragon. I will admit
it is, but again, I gotta respect how clever the full circle auction thing is, though. That's the kick.
Sure.
The 3 extras. I mean, yeah,
it reintroduces the grandfather character, which is important.
That's what I'm saying. If not for that moment, I would. If he went to anyone else other than the grandfather, I was like, okay, this is a complete BS. Like we went through all that, and we got to do this whole dance over again.
Right.
If it went to the butcher, like I wouldn't have bought that at all.
Oh, God.
That butcher, like, are you freaking kidding me? Like, the army would shoot that guy before they let him take that horse. Come on.
Oh man!
At least they beat him up.
Twist.
I mean, they wouldn't kill him, but they beat him up and like,
yeah.
We're taking this horse, buddy. We've been through heck. We're taking that. That horse saved lives. It gave us hope. That horse ended the war. Darn it.
But yeah, I do like that the final set piece isn't a big war or battle or anything. It is an auction. It comes down to an auction. That's very appropriate.
30 guineas donated by all the soldiers, which is beautiful.
Sure.
And that's what I'm saying, man. I just love they all came together. For, like they've all indulged in hope that kind of got them home in a sense. Like the big remarkable thing that happened during this war. They just want to see the boy. They want to, again, this is what sells you on the premise of the movie even more if you had any doubts. Like even the soldiers want the boy in a horse movie.
Right, exactly.
And again, I love that Morrison. He's kind of like the sober version of the father here, where he's very much kind of like he's betting smart. You know, he's putting his bids in smartly. And let that be the end of it. He's giving them the business here. 20 of your English pounds. Let that be the end of it, my friend. The butcher's so full of it.
Yeah. 26.
And I'm convinced, those soldiers would have ponied up more if it was just going up against the butcher. By the way, but again, 100.
Oh yeah. No question.
Hundreds probably out of their price range, though.
And not to mention the severity of this guy. I love it. And sir, if you bid against me, I will sell the coat on my back and bid to 110.
And this is
and if you bid against me again, I will sell my farm and bid to 1,000.
And this is what
goddamn the gravitas, Dragon.
This is what saves the whole thing right now, where you see, okay, now we've complicated things where we like this character, and this character is very invested. And of course, once we find out why he's bidding so much, you know, he's like, oh god, I love the butcher is like a great misdirect in red hair, and like, oh god, it's gonna go with the butcher. Like, no,
right, totally,
big left turn, big left turn character you didn't see coming here. It's gonna be Bonnard. So Bonnard comes in here, and again, the word of the miracle horse travels fast. Apparently, I'll give it. It's been a couple days. I'll give it a chance on that one. No questions there. But it was a really bold move to reveal that the girl died, and it gives him a very understandable motive. Like the man has so little of his family to remember. So he's going with the horse, like the last positive memory he had.
And
again, very full circle to the opening here, where the characters did kind of find each other again, like in the first place, not necessarily from the birth, but at that auction. After that auction, you see he's led him to that barn. Then the boy and his horse story really got off to the races.
Oh, big time, yeah.
The performance here by the character Bonnard is amazing. Where you see the man is just like he just can't bring himself to tear him away. And again, he kind of sees like his granddaughter, and the horse yet again. And this boy says, "Yeah, he did care for this thing, man. He ain't just all full of bluster. A soldier cares for this kid."
Oh yeah.
Horse. It gives the confidence, like, it's not goodbye, man. We both made it through this. You know, and he very dutifully gives him back the horse. And what comes back? What's got to come back? The pennant! The pennant comes back!
Of course.
Yeah.
Naturally.
Again, honestly, if he wasn't already sold, this was the proof in the pudding. When the horse just wouldn't leave the guy, it's a big clue. Okay, this guy's speaking the truth. But that thing, it's like, yeah, the pennant, like, and the passing on between father and the legacy of it all. It's like, yeah, this guy's the real deal. And I just love how he reveals it too. And take this too. You may have this and this too.
It's nice. Yeah, for sure.
It's kind of nice though. It's the old adage of your family living on in the names of others. So it's like, he says, what was your granddaughter's name? Emily. Her name was Emily. He says it with a smile on his face as he's walking away. So he's set up like he's not going to die sad, folks. He's happy going off there.
Yeah. Because he at the end of the day, I feel like reuniting this boy with his horse. That it really kind of gave him the closure that he was looking for.
Give him the closure.
And it was what she would have wanted, and she was the boss.
Oh yeah, it's great. She really was the boss, man. That was good.
She was, yeah.
All those shots, man. She wanted to ride that horse, and darn it, she rode that horse for a short time.
Totally.
Yep. And now we continue to go full circle here with once we get the horse from the auction, we go to the farm. We gotta go to the farm.
And then suddenly the movie turns into the Gone with the Wind intermission for the last scene.
We got the magic hour lighting.
I'm not knocking it, but it's true. It totally is Gone with the Wind intermission.
Pretty much. So of course, I get that magic hour lighting for the money shot of the boy returning home to the farm with the horse.
I love the shot of this shot right here of the horse against the massive sunset, the tiny silhouette. That's chef's kiss. Awesome framing.
Janusz, you clever little devil, you. Someone get this man brownie points immediately. Janusz, good work, buddy. Michael. Oh, before I completely forgot to mention this with the editing. I heard that so Michael Kahn and Spielberg did the editing on the whole movie, and they edited digitally for the first time. They usually paste the film together type of editing. They're old school the editing, but I heard that they just don't like doing it. So I don't know if they've broken the vow. They said they'd never go back to it. So we'll see if that takes after this movie. I guess if they ever go back to this to digital editing going forward. Because basically, it's not that obviously the end result works. Don't get me wrong, the end result worked fine, but the problem was it just kind of hurries the process for them. They really like having time to live with it. So they don't like kind of being hurried along in the process of the editing. Anyways, that's an actual fun fact, so we can close it on that. Okay, so symbolically,
this silent, solemn reunion between father and son, man, I think it just kind of like the image just says it all. I love it. The handshake. It's to me, it's honestly one of the more cathartic wrap-ups to one of the Spielberg daddy issues, right? And it really is.
I mean, think about what we've symbolized with this moment, with the daddy issues, Tiki. So this whole moment symbolizes forgiving his father for his failings and the support of his family, and basically understanding. And man, the boy coming back from war, I understand what you've been through now. We have the Williams score coming in the play here, which
fucking beautiful, Dragon. It's honestly pretty fucking beautiful.
And again, you got to remember, Spielberg in real life, he had a thing with his father here where essentially later in life he learns that his father, again, he saw a little bit of himself in his father. He saw that his father, he wasn't the bad guy in the situation. Just his mother fell in love with somebody else. And it was, again, it wasn't like he didn't walk out on him. He became the bad guy to help the mother out. Anyway, I'm boring you with Spielberg facts. My point is,
it's all good.
It's the Return of the Pennant is great, and again symbolizes all of that. And of course, we end on the horse because it's his movie. It's Joey's movie at the end of the day. He brought them together in the end, much like he brought them together at the start. He kind of tore them apart in the start, and he brought them back together in the end.
Well said. All right. So Netflix isn't even going to allow us to watch the credits, Dragon.
Well, if you click on the thing. But,
I know, but it is annoying.
It is.
So final thoughts.
Okay, final thoughts for me. The movie turned out a lot better than I thought. Again, I mean, I'm a little dicey on some of those vignettes, and again, they're not bad at all as we kind of went through. Again, I wish because he's so perfectly kind of balanced out in the runtime. If you just trim it up a little bit, I think it would be perfect, But it's a quibble. Point being, the movie, it turned out very nicely, far better than I ever imagined a movie like this would go. Definitely the best horse movie I've seen. Bear in mind, I got to give Seabiscuit another watch to kind of measure it, because you got to remember,
I remember being bored with Seabiscuit when I watched it, but I was like 15 when I saw it, so you know.
Here's the thing: I've taken in the horse races. So, I mean, that's the thing. I'm not as into it as other people I know for the horse racing aspect of Seabiscuit. So I don't know if I get a whole lot out of it. But my point is, it's only 2 horse movies have gotten Oscar nominations: Seabiscuit and then this. That tells you something, and it was for a reason. This movie did cut the mustard. I mean, obviously, it didn't win the Oscar, and I think for a reason that we're again a horse movie. It's the best horse movie you're going to find for all, but still, it's a horse movie. But again.
Right.
It's a very well-made horse movie that again did achieve the impossible, and it made you care about the horse as the main character, and again like an inhuman actor, which is really good. Only a director of Spielberg's caliber could really pull that off. Take the biggest cliche in the book and make it work.
All right, so yeah, final thoughts on my end. I was just so surprised and delighted by this thing, man. I really walked in. Of course, I've been cynical about this movie for the best part of a decade. With the whole like, oh, it's a horse. They're all very British, and it's a very British, sappy, sentimental movie. And you know what? It is a sappy movie. It is a sentimental movie, and goddamn, it is an incredibly British movie, no doubt about it. But the ingredients really work, Dragon. It really just comes together, and I really just the main thing I appreciate about this movie, as I keep saying, is the framing devices. I think rock solid. The fact that we essentially take 3 short stories, mend them together, blend them together. It really does just kind of give it the scope, the heart, the gravitas. I think the score is incredible. I think the cinematography is top notch. I truly think this is one of the great modern Spielberg movies, Dragon. I would put it right up there with in the same company as Bridge of Spies in terms of like how much I like it in as far as modern Spielberg movies go. Might not have the character work of Bridge of Spies, but I think it's definitely swooping and epic in other ways, and it really makes up for it in that regard. All right. So I guess that's it, Dragon, right?
Yes, that is it.
Okay. Well, folks, stay tuned until next time as we tackle another subject in the grim, gritty, wondrous, and whimsical world of Steven Spielberg on yet another thrilling installment of Spielberg Mom. Do 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 do. You gotta jump, Joey. You gotta jump.
You gotta jump.